Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. In the NBA today, the Spurs lead the Pacers early fourth quarter, 107-87. In Paris, a home game for Victor Wembanyama. The Celtics and Lakers play in Los Angeles tonight, 9:30 Eastern for that one, here on ESPN Radio. The matchup for Super Bowl 59 will be settled on Sunday. In the AFC title game, it's the Bills and Chiefs in Kansas City. ESPN's Dan Orlovsky says the stakes are simple for Bills quarterback Josh Allen.
You got to go get it done. You got to go knock off the Giant. Patrick's the Giant. No one cares about your stats in this game. You have to go into the belly of the beast and take him down. You got to go be Rocky and knock out Drago. That's what it is. And they know it, and he knows it.
Dan Orlovsky on Get Up. Josh Allen is one of the finalists for the Associated Press NFL MVP. 3 other quarterbacks on the list: Lamar Jackson, Jared Goff, and Joe Burrow, along with running back Saquon Barkley. Notre Dame corner Benjamin Morrison says he'll enter the NFL draft. Multiple Irish players will enter the transfer portal.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Friday. Everyone knows I've been Nick Sirianni's biggest critic, but has he done enough for me to believe in him in the biggest moment? It's Unsportsmanlike, weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride! Woo!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
You so. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. LSU has hired a special teams coach. The Saints coaching search continues. The Pels are past the halfway point. It's almost baseball season. Time to do. Let's begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
Hope everybody is thawing out. I'm probably a weirdo in that it was devastating for me not to be here the last 2 days. I've often told you that if I ever am gone and when I come back, I'm not fired up to sit here, that's when I'll know that's my indicator to get out of here. That was not the case. Erica did not understand why for 2 days all I wanted to do was not be home. All she wanted to do was make a snowman and throw snow in the air and snow angels and take pictures and cuddle up by the fire and watch movies. All I wanted to do was go to work. I am a lunatic. I understand. All right, ton to do as we got to make up for the past couple of days. But hope everybody was safe. Hope everybody enjoyed this quite literal once-in-a-lifetime phenomenon. It hadn't snowed that much in Baton Rouge since the 1800s. So incredible. and glad to be back. Before we left, we got news earlier this week that Bob Diaco was leaving LSU for North Carolina to go be their linebackers coach under Bill Belichick. And normally an analyst leaving the staff wouldn't be that notable, except for the fact that LSU kind of cheated. Not cheated in a sense of the rule book, but in the sense of how they utilized Bob Diaco. So remember, the NCAA changed the rule to where analysts who used to only be able to coach the coaches, right? Like they couldn't work with players, couldn't work on the field. They could game plan and work with the coaches, but couldn't actually work with players. Well, the NCAA changed that rule. Analysts could coach at practice. They could wear headsets during the games. They could effectively do all the things other coaches did. The only difference is your 10 full-time staff members can recruit off campus. That was really the only difference. So, Bob Diaco, long history as a special teams coach, coached LSU special teams. I know Slade Nagel was tight end / special teams coach, but saw it with my own two eyes out at fall camp. Every time they were running special teams drills, brother, it was Bob Diaco running those drills. He was your special teams coach. So Diaco leaves, you have a vacancy. So Diaco leaves, and then also Slade Nagel, who was your tight end / special teams, has already left as well. So now you got a hole on your staff, and apparently, according to Football Scoop, who broke this news on Wednesday night, LSU has found a special teams coach. A Grambling special teams coordinator, Amon Anand, is joining LSU staff as a special teams coach. The one sort of caveat, what we don't know, is if Anand is joining LSU as the full-time on-field assistant or if he's joining as an analyst that will coach special teams in the way Bob Diaco did. I did reach out to LSU Sports Information today to try to get clarification or confirmation. No response. So whenever we find out something or whenever they release something as far as an official role, we'll know that. Because that is one big layered in question here with how LSU is going to continue to manage the staff. So first of all, I'm definitely curious if they're effectively going to kind of quote unquote steal a staff role in the way that they did with Bob Diaco, allowing an analyst to coach one full position group. But first, the Amon Anand's resume is pretty fascinating when you look at his path to this point. He started as a student coach while he was at Old Dominion and the South Dakota School of Mines and Technology, MINES. Right? I mean, you want to talk about a dude that wants it badly? You're a student coach at Old Dominion and South Dakota School of Mines and Technology. I mean, brother, you are in it. I mean, you are in it for love of the game, right? Then, that was 2011. He becomes a GA at Northern Arizona, Utah State, and Memphis. Remember, GAs don't get paid. You might be able to get a little scratch from working camps and stuff like that, but you ain't a salaried employee as a grad assistant. So this dude is working his way from a student coach at the South Dakota School of Mines and Technology to being a GA at 3 different stops. Finally, cracks in as an assistant special teams coordinator with Penn State and Baylor. So big boy football, but an assistant on field, right? Then he goes to Texas Southern, where he works with running backs and coordinates special teams, and then to Grambling this season, his only year up at Grambling as the special teams coordinator. So, is a dude that over 14 years has made 10 different stops. LSU's now his 10th stop in 14 years. Dude wants it, all right? Much respect for that level of buy-in for making this in your career. So, also, a decade and a half as a special teams coach. Now, the big question is how Brian Kelly is going to manage special teams, because this has been probably The question I get asked by LSU fans more than any other is, hey, man, when's he going to hire a special teams coordinator? It shows he doesn't care about special teams unless he hires a special teams coordinator. I'm like, hold on. Like, Bob Diaco was a major college defensive coordinator and head coach. He's head coach of UConn, who had also been a special teams coordinator early in his career. Like, that's a dude with a ton of experience running your special teams. And by the way, your special teams in 2024, pretty good. Damian Ramos is a career 78% field goal kicker for you. Your return game was excellent this year. You were third in the country in kickoff returns. Aaron Burrell was all conference as a kickoff specialist, had only 8 kickoffs returned against him all season, banging balls through the end zone left and right. I mean, the only thing where you didn't do well was punting. And I would say that's more of a reflection of the inconsistency with Peyton Todd and Blake Oxendorf than coaching. So I don't think you had a problem with how you operated special teams this year. You went and got Grant Chadwick from Middle Tennessee out of the transfer portal, and that's hopefully a great get that's going to solve this punting issue from this year that was honestly, when your special teams were bad for a couple of years, the only thing that was good was when you got the transfer punter from Notre Dame who came down here for a couple of years and was pretty good. So, in 2022, Kelly didn't hire his first year. He just divided all the roles among his staff. And then they brought in Diaco, who handled special teams. And then it was Diaco and Slade Nagel this year who kind of divided, but really it was Diaco. So I don't know that you're going to hire a full-time special teams coordinator. Now, Amon Anand, it would make sense. I mean, he's going to handle your special teams, right? But it would make more sense if he's an analyst than a full-time on-field staff member because you need somebody who can coach your tight ends. Tight end is too vital a piece of what LSU does offensively to not have a tight ends coach. Now, Brian Kelly could coach tight ends, or you could put the tight ends and receivers together under Cortez Hankton, but I don't get the sense that's the path that Brian Kelly's going to go here. It sure sounds like he's going to have to hire a tight ends coach as well. And your guess as to who that is or will be is as good as mine, potentially, with what they may look to do. And someone mentioned to me, what about George Munoz? Munoz was a great part of Ed Orgeron's national championship staff. He's coaching tight ends and is associate head coach in Lafayette right now. Had someone say, what about Kevin Sumlin? Kevin Sumlin, I think, is at Maryland right now, maybe as a staffer. Like, sure, that might make sense. There's ideas and names you could throw out. I'm just telling you, when I pry, I haven't heard anything credible or a name given to me yet about who's going to coach tight ends. But that's something you got to do. And, I mean, if you want a reason for optimism, you went and signed J.D. LaFleur, Donovan Green, Bauer Sharp all this year without even knowing who the tight ends coach is going to be. So there's enough confidence in how this offense uses the tight end to have recruited those guys, but you still have to have someone dedicated to that position. So this is not, the staff isn't done yet. This is a credible report from Football Scoop, and others have followed suit with it. But you've added the guy that's going to coach your special teams. The question is, are you stealing, quote unquote, a staff spot by having an analyst coach your special teams? Or is this your full-time staff member? And if that's the case, what do you do to coach tight ends? And that's something that still has to be answered. But we'll get that answer when we do, and hopefully confirmation will come from LSU. But I like what they did here. You got a guy that's been at Baylor, that's been at Penn State, who's been everywhere, clearly is a grinder, 15 years in the game. He's moved 10 times, trying to find his way up the ladder. And the opportunity to coach at LSU, even if it is as an analyst, is better than being a special teams coordinator at Grambling in the FCS. It's not a knock on Grambling. It's just you went from an FCS coordinator to not only an FBS, but an elite level Power 4 staff member, which is going to open eyeballs and doors to higher level opportunities still, just like we saw Bob Diaco go from being an analyst at LSU to a linebackers coach at North Carolina. So we'll see what's next. But for now, Brian Kelly has checked the box on his staff who is going to coach special teams in 2025. All right, it's After Further Review. Our show open every day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy in Louisiana with the great taste of Bud Light. Super Bowl 59, just a couple of weeks away. Our friends at Bud Light, Mockler Beverage, are giving you an opportunity to win tickets to the big game. Paulie, please go full screen with that if you would. If you're watching with us right now on TV or on YouTube, scan that QR code right there, and you have an opportunity to win a pair of tickets to Super Bowl 59 in the Dome. If you're listening, not watching, easy. Just go to the Mockler Beverage social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Go to Mockler Beverage, and you'll see the post with the QR code of how you can win tickets to Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans 2 weeks from Sunday. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR. All right, y'all, we'll knock out our first break of the show. Speaking of coaching news, we did get word officially the Jets have hired Aaron Glenn, so the Saints' reported top target, is off the board. Which direction do the Saints go next? We'll talk about it next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Love telling you about Duplessis Builders. You know, with all the snow, one of the most common pieces of viral content we saw were people jumping into their pools amid the snow and the ice. You can't do that if you don't have a pool. Now, I'm not telling you that the reason to build a pool is so whenever every 100 years we have snow like that, you could jump into your snowy, freezing pool. But it's an option you only have if you build a pool. And, of course, if you want to build a pool in 2025 when everything thaws out and we do have those beautiful spring and summer days, the best people to call, Duplessis Builders. Go to duplessisbuilders.net, duplessisbuilders.net. You can see pictures. They even have 3D imaging right here. See this virtual imaging of what their gorgeous outdoor oases can look like. Pools, outdoor kitchens, they do it all. Your backyard paradise. duplessisbuilders.net.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable. And
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalvr.com.
Hey, it's Kevin Mawai's birthday. Shout out, Hall of Famer. Former contributor here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, off the bench. Actually, I think that was back in the Colada and the Prince days when Mawai came in.
That sounds right.
Yeah, that was back in the C and the P days. I went to the Jets' Twitter to go find the graphic about Aaron Glenn, and the first thing up there was Happy Birthday, Kevin Mawai. So shout out to the Hall of Famer, Kevin Mawai. So the Jets have their coach, and it's the guy that the Saints were targeting. Aaron Glenn, it is official, the new head coach of the Jets. And so when you look at the three hires that have now been made, Mike Vrabel to the Patriots was their first choice. Quite honestly, it's the reason they fired Gerard Mayo. The day Gerard Mayo got fired. So there's only two reasons this happened. One, he did something nefarious. Or two, they know, like, they already have his replacement. And a guy they wanted, obviously, was Vrabel. The Saints never even entertained Ben Johnson. There were never even odds for the Saints to hire Ben Johnson, whom everybody wanted. Why? Because he was going to the Bears. And he was the Bears' first choice, and they got him. The Saints' first choice was Aaron Glenn, but unfortunately for the Saints, he was also the Jets' first choice. And the thing we talked about from jump with this Saints coaching search is, Muse, do you remember this? I had Muse do this exercise where, like, I was a coaching candidate.
Yeah, it was like you were Ben Johnson was the thing. I was the agent, and we went through at that point, I think there was only 2 jobs open. We looked at other ones that could.
Oh, yeah.
Right, like the Jags and the Cowboys was on the list, and things of that nature. Raiders, Bears was on that list at that time, yeah.
So we went through to determine the attractiveness of the openings. And where we landed was the Saints' job was the least attractive of all the openings. You have no franchise quarterback. You have an aging, expensive roster. At the time, they were $70 million over the cap space. They were like $60 million over more than the next closest team that was over, which was, I think, Cleveland. Like, you are the worst situation of all the open jobs. Like, you could say the Raiders, but the Raiders have a better cap situation. They got a better draft pick. Like, better situation when you're checking all those boxes. So, naturally, when coaches that are in demand have options, they're going to pick the better option. And that ain't you, which is why you never even you were never even entertained in the Ben Johnson conversation. And, like, why Aaron Glenn is now the coach of the Jets. You're not attractive. So where do you go from here? What we know is what the Saints are setting up now. Would highly recommend you go follow this all at LouisianaSports.net. Ross Jackson's doing an awesome job covering every bit of this story and keeping everyone up to date throughout. But the Saints have now scheduled in-person interviews with Mike Kafka of the Giants, Anthony Weaver of the Dolphins, and reports are that the Saints are going to interview Mike McCarthy in person next week. If the Saints decide they want to hire Mike McCarthy, I'm going to be okay with that. I know a lot of people are going to recoil, and we've talked about this a little bit here. But my point with McCarthy is I think that the negativity around Mike McCarthy, in large part, is a fan echo chamber. Very high-profile job in Dallas. There's obviously Cowboys fatigue because of the first take-ification of the world where it's Cowboys-Jets all the time. LeBron, Cowboys, Jets. What if LeBron played for the Cowboys or the Jets? Like, blow up the world. I get it. But This is a guy that's won more than 100 games as a head coach. He's made the playoffs 11 times. He's won a Super Bowl. You look at Micah Parsons, who said he was, quote, devastated when McCarthy wasn't retained. Matt Flynn, who played for McCarthy in Green Bay, raved about Mike McCarthy. Like, his resume is super comparable to Sean Payton's, yet we hold Sean Payton in high esteem and regard, we collectively, and we poo-poo McCarthy, who won 12 games each of the 3 years before this year when Dak got hurt. I think maybe the thing with McCarthy is there's a feeling that we know what the ceiling is there. And if you go higher, say a Joe Brady, the unknown could be the kaboom. Could be. But you could have the higher ceiling, lower floor type situation. Whereas McCarthy feels kind of like Derek Carr. Higher floor, lower ceiling. Maybe that's a fair way to say it. But what I will say about McCarthy, if this is the direction the Saints think they want to go, the New Orleans Saints would be doing themselves a massive, massive disservice if they hire Mike McCarthy before interviewing Joe Brady, Cliff Kingsbury. They're not going to interview those guys in person until their seasons are over. And the truth is, Mike McCarthy ain't being hired anywhere else. All the reports are there were two, when McCarthy got let go in Dallas, there were two teams interested, the Saints and the Bears. Well, the Bears have their coach. Bears have their coach. So, if the Bears have their guy, and ain't nobody else lining up to hire Mike McCarthy, there was no reason to rush to this decision. Go through your process. Interview Mike Kafka. Interview Anthony Weaver. See what happens this weekend with the Bills and the Commanders to see if you can then interview Brady and Kingsbury. Gather all the information possible and then make your decision. The singular best example of this conversation is Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin got an interview because of the Steelers' Rooney Rule, which is now league-wide. But Tomlin was a defensive coordinator. He got an interview, blew everyone away, got the job, and now he's been one of the greatest and most consistent coaches in the NFL, longest tenured alongside John Harbaugh in Baltimore, won a Super Bowl. He's amazing. And you never would have known that except for they went through the interview process. So go through the interview process. There's no reason to rush a Mike McCarthy decision. You know where he is. You got his number. He's waiting on your call, boo. That's it. Just relax. Like, prom's coming up. There's someone you'd really like to ask, but you know you got your backup plan, your plan B right, just sitting over there waiting for you to call. As rude as that may sound, it's true. Like, you got your yes over here. You got your automatic yes sitting over here. But you want to shoot your shot over here, shoot your shot and see how it goes. McCarthy ain't going nowhere. He'll be thrilled to be your coach. So wait it out and make sure you do your due diligence. For what it's worth, as we look around, there's been a lot of reaction to the Aaron Glenn news and what the fallout may be. So, for example, Jake Assman is a host on 880 ESPN in New York. Yep.
I don't think that's how you say his last name.
Says it right here on the sheet.
No, I think
you wrote the sheet.
I did. I think it's Osman.
It says Jake Assman.
Well,
host 880 ESPN New York.
No,
that's what it says. 21 seconds. Assman won on the Paulie. Does that say Assman won or does that say Assman won?
That says Assman won.
Thank you.
Is it Asman?
You wrote the sheet, Muse.
Yeah.
You hanging me out to dry now?
No, I don't think it's Assman.
Jake Assman, host 880 ESPN New York. Play the clip.
I like Aaron Glenn, but there's this perception that he is like the slam dunk choice for the Jets, and I don't really understand why. What makes Aaron Glenn such a slam dunk?
Him.
The Jets are going to hire another first-time defensive-minded coach with no previous coaching experience. Like, I don't understand. They just did this with Robert Saleh. And everything we said about Robert Saleh, we're now saying about Aaron Glenn.
Oh, my God. Are you two messing with me?
What do you mean?
You put Jake Assman on the document, and then Paulie puts that picture on the screen? Put
What's
that
wrong
back
with the
up. Put
picture?
that back here, Paulie. Look at. I mean, this guy's name is Jake Assman. Did you do this on AI? Paul, is this AI? Is this a real human?
That's a real human.
I I feel like you guys took a couple of days off and went to the loony bin, and you came out here trying to mess with me.
What's wrong with him?
This is Jake Assman from 880 in New York. Is 880 in New York even an actual thing?
Yeah, it's a radio station.
I don't know.
It's an ESPN affiliate.
I don't know if I believe you.
It is. I don't understand your gripe with him. I mean, he's a
I have no
well-groomed man. Like,
I
why-
have
what's
no.
the-
He looks like if Doug, the cartoon, was a ginger. That's what he looks like.
Okay. I mean,
tell me I'm wrong. And his name is Assman.
Again, we don't know that for sure.
We know that in radio world, people have fake names all the time when you got a bad name.
Okay, that's true.
You come up with a fake name. Jimmy Brooks on 100.7 The Tiger. His name is Jimmy Laverne. He goes by Jimmy Brooks. Scotty Mack.
Yeah.
Cecil Carwile goes by Scotty Mack.
That's much better.
You know what I mean? Like, it happens all the time.
So you think this guy changed his name to Ozman or Assman, as you like to say?
No, I think that's...
You think that's his real
That's
name?
his name.
Okay.
Why would you change your name to that?
Well, maybe
I'm
he was
saying
looking
if
for a
that's
cool name.
no. I'm saying if that's your name, you call yourself like Jake Jacobs, some alliteration.
Sure.
Wow.
He embraces it. I mean, go for it, man.
He embraces what?
His last name.
What's his last name?
Osman. Asman.
I'm sorry. That is an A, not an not.
That is an A.
You're trying to say like it's Donny Osmond, which is not what
That's
you wrote
different.
here.
That
is not what you wrote here.
Osmond. This would be Osman. Right?
M-A-N, not Mon. M-A-N. How do you say M-A-N, Muse?
Man.
Thank you.
But you know this as well as anybody, Matt. When you put things together with other letters, you can change the pronunciation of words.
Like ass man.
Potentially.
I don't even know what he just talked about. He was saying Glenn is a retread of Robert Saleh.
Yeah.
This segment just got completely derailed. Not even mad at it. My only point is simply this. You didn't get your number one choice because you're not a desirable job. The guy who might be at the top of your list now is going to be available whenever you want him. So don't rush this. Do all of your interviews and hire the best person. And if the best person is Mike McCarthy, okay. But he might not be. So don't rush it. And oh, by the way, if you missed it while we were out, Alvin Kamara went on Twitter and declared his choice for the Saints head coaching job. And he said, my vote for head coach, but he doesn't get a vote because this is not an NFL-ocracy. It's an NFL-tatorship. My vote for head coach rhyme with fizzy, telling you Alvin Kamara, wants the Saints to hire Fair and Fizzy or Darren Rizzi. And and to be perfectly honest with you, I am leaning more toward my preference being without an obvious choice. Go for a one-year stopgap like the Raiders just did. You want to really embrace the rebuild? Retain Rizzi for 1 year. Let all these old veteran contracts start to purge. Go into the cellar. Get your cap closer to in order. Secure yourself a top 5 pick. And next year, when you have a chance to draft Arch Manning or Garrett Nussmeier, one of the quarterbacks in next year's draft class, which looks like it's going to be a really good draft class, then you bring in your actual number one choice when you have a much more attractive situation to offer. Not opposed to it. You got options. What you don't want to do is rush to the podium the guy that's going to be there whenever you're ready. Whenever you call. He is sitting by the phone waiting. So take your time and do it right. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com, WilliamsonEye.com. Would someone please call Jake Assman and let him know? I mean, no disrespect. I have no disrespect. I fully blame Muse for putting that on the sheet, and non-phonetically, and Paulie for putting an AI photo on the screen. And I could see it crystal clear because of my LASIK from the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. All right, we'll go around the SEC when we come back. Andrew Lopez in 27 minutes from right now. The Pels have won 4 in a row. What? What is happening? It's snowing in Louisiana? The Pels are on a winning streak? The Saints? No, the Saints still sing. But a guy named Ass Man is on the radio? What a world we live in. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. I cannot screw up that name use. There is no mistake in that. Gordon McKernan. Get Gordon and get it done. You've been injured in an accident. It's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for more than 30 years. Get Gordon and get it done. Remember, you can call or you can go online. If you want to call, 888-8888, 888-8888. Dial the 8s, 888-8888. Offices all over Louisiana, so no matter where you are, you dial that number and you're good. 888-8888 or online at getgordon.com, getgordon.com. You can even chat with an associate online if you'd prefer to start that way. Website's a great resource. You could see client testimonials, past client results, the types of cases they handle. You could even learn more about the G team. Always encourage you to go to GordonGives.com. That's the charitable arm of Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, GordonGives.com. You can see about all the philanthropy that Gordon takes part in. You know what to do. Get Gordon and get it done.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 988.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
It was a great year for a lot of the LSU players in the NFL, and more than likely you're going to see at least one of them take home some major hardware. The NFL Rookie of the Year finalists have been announced. Of course, the winner will be announced at the NFL Honors in New Orleans, Super Bowl week. The 6 finalists are 3 of them from LSU, as you'd imagine. Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., along with Bo Nix, Brock Bowers, and Bucky Irving, the running back from the Bucs. Jaden Daniels is very likely a shoo-in to win this award as a rookie, having his team in the NFC Championship game. Of course, Bo Nix brought the Broncos to the playoffs this year, but both Neighbors and Brian Thomas, both over 1,000 yards receiving. We know Brock Bowers had a record-setting year for a rookie tight end. So, I mean, congrats. That's pretty incredible. The Comeback Player of the Year honors the finalists, Joe Burrow, in that number as well, along with Sam Darnold, J.K. Dobbins, Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback from the Patriots, and Damar Hamlin. Of course, we all know Damar Hamlin's situation. Burrow would stand to reason Burrow is a lock, coming back off the injury from a year ago to come back into this year and to have the type of season that he did, which was the best season for a quarterback in the NFL this year. Just unfortunate that, it just unfortunately isn't going to go his way for MVP because his team success wasn't there. However, Burrow was one of 5 finalists for the MVP. It's Burrow, Josh Allen, Jared Goff, Lamar Jackson, the 4 quarterbacks, and Saquon Barkley, of course, who had the 2,000-yard rushing season. Burrow, I would think, might have an opportunity to win the Offensive Player of the Year honors, but he will not win MVP. Similar to what Justin Jefferson a few years ago was the Offensive Player. Michael Thomas, remember, was actually the NFL Offensive Player of the Year in his great season in New Orleans, but didn't win the MVP. So maybe Burrow will have an opportunity to win Offensive Player of the Year, but he most certainly will not win MVP because, as we know, MVP is really a quarterback award for the quarterback on the best team, and because Burrow's team missed the playoffs, even though his season was outstanding, he won't win the MVP. If they had made the playoffs, he probably would win the MVP, but because they fell short of that, he won't. It'll be Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, but Burrow will have a great chance, I think, to win Offensive Player of the Year. For what it's worth, the Offensive Player of the Year finalists, Josh Allen was not one of the Offensive Player of the Year finalists. The Offensive Player of the Year finalists were Barkley, Burrow, Jamar Chase, Derrick Henry, and Lamar Jackson. So maybe Joe Burrow win NFL Offensive Player of the Year honors, although it kind of feels like that may end up going to Saquon for his 2,000-yard season. But in any event, nice to see all those guys as finalists for a lot of the awards. We'll be rooting on the LSU guys to see how it goes. All right, we're brought to you by our friends over at River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. A lot of us learned if we got issues with our heaters with this weather. Thank goodness the warm-up is here. It's up to 49. But when you're talking about single-digit temps like we've had throughout parts of this week, yeah. I'm telling you. Worst way to find out if your heater isn't efficient or safe is whenever you have temps in the single digits. So if you did find out you have any issues, or as a result of the snow and the ice, you have any issues, call our friends at River City's 1 Hour Air. They can help you out. 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. ONE, 1hourbr.com. It's River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. Okay, do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference.
Texas A&M!
Aggies have hired James Madison's defensive coordinator, Lyle Hemphill, as a senior assistant coach on the defensive staff. Pete Nakos was the first to report this. Hemphill actually worked under Mike Elko in 2022 and 2023 as the safeties coach and co-defensive coordinator. He was also the defensive coordinator at Wake Forest for 3 seasons now. He heads to the Aggies, where they were 91st in the country in pass defense this past year.
The Auburn Tigers.
Auburn is looking to hire their next special teams coordinator. Chad Lunsford expected to fill that role. He'd previously been the head coach at Georgia Southern. It was Matt Zenitz who was the first to report this. Spent the last 3 years at FAU, where he was the interim head coach actually at the end of 2024. Looks like Lunsford is heading to Auburn, where it'll be his second go-round. He was there in an off-field role from 2009 to 2013.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
Ole Miss landed a commitment from California 2026 wide receiver Jamison Powell. Chose the Rebels over a couple of West Coast schools like Arizona and Washington. Had 20-some-odd offers, but picked the Rebs. 5'10", 150-pounder. A little light there. 3-star, the 44th best player in California, the 71st best receiver in the country. Second Rebs commit for 2026.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
2026 top 100 linebacker Rodney Colton has decommitted from South Carolina. He's a 4-star out of Georgia. Picked the Gamecocks back in April, but now says he'll go somewhere else. He had also had offers from Georgia, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Florida State. 6'1", 205, the number 127 overall prospect, the 9th best linebacker in the country.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
And a major loss for John Calipari's squad. His former 5-star number 1 player, Boogie Fland. His season is likely over with a hand injury. He suffered the injury on January the 11th against Florida. Started the past 2 games against LSU and Florida, but really struggled. And it looks like now he might be shut down for the season. He's averaged 15 points, 5 assists in his rookie season. He's the number 32 overall player in ESPN's NBA draft rankings. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC. Our Thursday shows, as always, are brought to you by Decision Critical, DecisionCriticalBR.com, Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. It's not just healthcare. It's healthcare for your lifestyle. And at Decision Critical, they have introduced their 24-hour nursing packages, where if you need 24-hour care at a time, or if you want to divvy up that 24 hours over a week or a month, you can do that. Learn more. Set up that exploratory call at DecisionCriticalBR.com, DecisionCriticalBR.com. More than 30 licensed nurses, amazing staff, the best care you could receive, whether you're coming home with a baby, maybe it's end-of-life care, maybe you're recovering from a surgery, an operation procedure, maybe you care for an elderly parent and you need in-home care. You need the best. You need Decision Critical. DecisionCriticalBR.com. DecisionCriticalBR.com. All right, it's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll wrap up hour number 1. The SEC and the Big Ten are meeting, not covertly, but separate from everybody else about potential changes to the playoff. We'll explore this when we come back to wrap up hour number 1, and we'll talk the improbable Pels. Winners of 4 in a row. They've crossed the halfway point of the season. Andrew Lopez will join us in about 15 minutes. Don't move, it's Avar.
AFR.
We're brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel. The Watermark downtown, of course, Baton Rouge's premier hotel property. Some of the shots from the Watermark from all the snow were incredible. I tell you all the time, of course, the Watermark is Baton Rouge's original high-rise building. It's the old Louisiana National Bank building. It's the original high-rise in downtown Baton Rouge. And they preserved so much of the history, the historic marble and all the different paintings there, the artwork in the lobby, the high ceilings, the bright natural light that comes through. It's gorgeous. And, of course, all of the rooms that have been modernized are amazing. You got to check out the Watermark if you haven't, but some of the best views in the city as well. Go check out the Watermark social media. You can see some of the photos from the snow event, looking at downtown and at the river from this once-in-a-century event we had. You got to check it out. It's the Watermark Hotel. Whether it's your next event or looking for a place to stay downtown, it's the Watermark Hotel.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalvr.com.
Ross Dellinger has a report up over at Yahoo Sports. The SEC and the Big Ten are scheduled to meet a second joint meeting of their ADs next month. They're going to meet February 19th in New Orleans, and this is going to be a week before the CFP commissioners meet in Dallas to discuss the future of the playoff. Remember, if any changes are going to be made for 2025, they have to be unanimous. All of the athletic directors have to unanimously agree to make a change. So like one of the things that I've banged the drum for that a lot of you have as well is seeding the tournament according to rankings and doing away with the buys for the top 4 conference champs. Like, it's absurd that Boise State and Arizona State had a bye. It created imbalance in the field. And unfortunately, Oregon was drew the short straw. They were undefeated. They were the number 1 team in the country, but they had the toughest draw because Boise and Arizona State had buys, and the way that the bracket fell, it ended up being a benefit to Penn State. Anyway, I don't know that I necessarily foresee any changes coming in these meetings because you're not going to have, a unanimous decision. Because why would, for example, the Mountain West want to seed that opportunity? Seed, C-E-D-E, that opportunity, not S-E-E-D. Like, why would they want to give away that opportunity? Because if you're seeding the field based on the rankings, then you're never going to have Boise State or a Mountain West team in the top 4. They only got there because they were one of the 4 highest ranked conference champions. Well, if you do away with that provision, they'll never have that opportunity again. So why would the Mountain West vote for that? They wouldn't. Unless they were told to by the SEC and the Big Ten. Because the truth is, the more we continue to explore this world, the SEC and the Big Ten hold all the cards. If they wanted to, the SEC and the Big Ten could break off and form their own league. They could leave everybody else in the dust. Or say, okay, let's see, there's 18 of you, 16 of us, meaning Big Ten, SEC. Let's see, Clemson, you want to come? All right, you can come. Florida State, yep, you're good. Come on. Kansas State, no. Kansas, no. Arizona State, no. Hey, is Prime staying at Colorado? If Prime stays at Colorado, Colorado can come too. Who else? Is that it? Yeah, good. Yeah, we're good. Okay, we're going to go do our own league now. We could. So everybody else has to do what the Big Ten and the SEC want, or else. And that's not new. Remember, it was more than a decade ago that Mike Slive, the late Mike Slive, stood at SEC Media Days and saber-rattled for cost of attendance to allow, so that all the conferences voted to allow schools to pay cost of attendance to their athletes. Because the SEC could, and the Big Ten could, just because the Mountain West couldn't. There was no way that the haves were going to be dictated to by the have-nots. And so it was like, fall in line or we're moving on. That's the leverage that the SEC and the Big Ten have. And they're going to use it again. Now, it may not do any good for 2025. But for 2026, whatever they want, whatever the SEC and the Big Ten want in 2026, format change, revenue distribution, whatever it means for structure and distribution of rev share, all of that, they're going to get. But these meetings between the SEC and the Big Ten are taking place to make sure they are aligned so they go into those full conference meetings knowing what they're asking for. And they are aligned as such. So we'll keep you posted. That meeting's coming up on February the 19th. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank vinyl siding. Oh, yeah, they do shutters as well. Maybe you learned through this freeze that you have cold, drafty windows, that it's harder to keep your home insulated because of those cold, drafty windows. Install once and you're done forever. Remember, with Relief Windows, a true lifetime transferable warranty. You do this once, you're done forever. You're not paying a cheaper price now like you are with other companies just to come back in 3 to 5 years and replace those windows again because you bought cheap windows. Buy the best. It comes with a lifetime transferable warranty. Do it once and you're done forever. It's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows door siding, Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. All right, y'all, it's AFR. Thursday shows are brought to you by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. Sports Center's coming up. Let's get you caught up on national headlines. When we come back, Andrew Lopez jumps aboard. Don't you move.
AFR.
Man, I am pretty fired up. This weekend, Erica and Drew and I are going to head up to the Louisiana-Mississippi border. Some of our family bought some land there. They built a camp up there. And so we're going to go spend the night and have a nice day out in the country, evening by the fire, a little barbecue, probably smoke a cigar. It's a reality that many people in this part of the world love or would love to be able to experience. Well, if you want to buy that land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. You could always log on to firstsouthland.com. That's firstsouthland.com. Whether it's 1,000 acres for agriculture, whether it's 20 acres to build your camp or your family's dream home, or it's, there's 200 acres for your recreational property. If you want to buy land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. firstsouthland.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Victor Wembanyama goes home to Paris and puts up 30 points and 11 rebounds today. The Spurs blow out the Pacers 140-110. The teams play again in Paris on Saturday at noon Eastern on ESPN. The Lakers hosting the Celtics tonight in Los Angeles, 9:30 Eastern for the coverage here on ESPN Radio. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford is taking some time to think about his NFL future. When will that decision be made? Rams coach Sean McVay.
I think sooner than later, being able to get that clarity, understand clear, open, and honest communication. I think there's a lot of love coming from our part. I think there's a lot of appreciation coming from his part as well.
Sean McVay. Last summer, Stafford and the team didn't reach an agreement on his adjusted deal until reporting day at training camp. American Madison Keys beats number 2 seed Iga Swiatek in a third-set tiebreak to reach the Australian Open final. She'll play top seed Arina Sabalenka, who'll be trying for her 3rd straight Aussie title.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Friday, everyone knows I've been Nick Sirianni's biggest critic, but has he done enough for me to believe in him in the biggest moment? It's Unsportsmanlike, weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride! Woo!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Decision Critical, concierge nursing in Baton Rouge. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yusuf. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Good to be back. Kendall Rogers in 30 minutes because there's no better time to talk about baseball than when there's snow on the ground in Louisiana. But we'll do that coming up here as Tigers will hit the practice field on Friday for the first time. Get a preview of LSU and the SEC with our guy from D1 Baseball. The Pels went and won 4 in a row. How in the world did that happen? Andrew Lopez, sideline reporter for the Pels, good enough to join us now. Yo, dude, how are you?
Doing good, man. Enjoying this snow melting so I could move around and we can get to an airport and get out of here. We got a 3-game road trip coming up, Memphis, Charlotte, and Toronto. So we're leaving the practice facility right now. Got a nice little practice in today and, see if we can get push this to 5, 6, 7 in a row.
How in the world have they won 4 in a row when they were 7 in a bajillion forever?
You won 5 of your first 34. I think it's now 7 of the last 10 overall. And a lot of that comes with, surprise,
health,
getting your guys healthy.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what happens when your best players are on the floor. And I think we've seen that with some other teams. We stuck out a win against Dallas. They don't have Kyrie and Luke, and it's like, oh man, they don't look the same. Well, yeah, we've been doing that all year. And even though Z has not played in all of these because of injury management, there was a suspension in Philly, which was a very, very close game. But DeJounte has now played 20-plus games, in a row with these guys, and he's getting comfortable. CJ missed time. Trey missed time. All of these things are, you see guys getting back to what they could be, and it's like, okay, well, now some of this makes a little bit of sense. And you like overall where this team is going, what this team looks like, and it's kind of like, man, you kind of wish, like, oh, man, this is what it could have been from the jump, but it's good to just see, especially with team morale, just getting some wins here lately.
I believe that, man. A losing streak like that will, God, it'll wear on you, especially when you're traveling. Anyway, go back to Zion and the suspension for a second. I don't know that they're going to disclose exactly what it was for. I think we've all heard some of the rumblings and reports about it. But what is there you started covering the Pels when he came into the league, like as the Zion reporter. So you've been around him as much as anybody.
Mm-hmm.
What do we make about where Zion is in his career and how he fits in New Orleans and that whole conversation at this point?
It's funny because you see, for everything that happens, and you're like, oh, well, he was suspended for breaking team rules, and he didn't do this, and he didn't do this. And then you look at him on the floor, and it's like, man, he's really, really good at basketball. And he makes everybody else really, really good at basketball. And I think the players are behind him, and I think that's the most important part. When you have something happen like this, and it's very easy for the team to turn on you. I remember sitting in the locker room in Boston when he was answering questions about this for the first time, and his teammates had his back. They weren't trying to throw him under the bus. Look, it happened. He paid the time. He did what he was supposed to do. Let's move on. And you see him how he's interacting with the team afterwards and doing everything. It doesn't bother them. And if it doesn't bother them, it's not bothering me. But you see when he's on the floor how different this team is. And I think a perfect example of this is Daniel Tice. There's a lot of fans who looked at Daniel Tice's numbers this year and been like, what is this? Like, what is he doing? And then you look at Daniel Tice next to Z, it's like a plus 12.7 net rating. It's Zion's best duo of anybody on the floor because of the spacing that he gets when Zion's on the floor. And it's like, oh, things make sense when Z's out there. And I think that's something that is people don't always get sometimes. And look, he's working, and I know he's still not going to be likely to play in back-to-backs. Obviously, we have one coming up, Memphis, Charlotte. So we'll see how that plays out. Injury report comes out in a little bit, but he's still a very, very good player, and I still think he's somebody who, when he's on the court, is absolutely incredible. And we've seen that in these, this last 10-game stretch.
Pels have crossed the halfway point of their 82-game season. If I asked you, and you can't say injuries, other than injuries, what's the biggest storyline for this team at the halfway point?
Probably it's what does everybody look like with Z? Because of the injuries, you missed a lot of time, so you don't know what this team looks like. And for instance, we were talking a little while ago, and you probably went into the year with 6 or 7 starters of guys that you thought could be it. You had DeJounte, CJ, Trey, Herb, Z, Brandon Ingram, and then one of the bigs, whether that was going to be Tice or Eve. And if completely healthy, that meant somebody was going to have to sit one of Trey or CJ or Herb. How are you going to make that happen? Or were you going to start Z at the 5? Were you going to bring Eve and DT off the bench? And we've never got to see that, and I think we never got to see this team complete. And I think that is kind of the story, and that's a way of saying injuries without saying injuries, but it's the fact that you never got to see whole what this team's going to look like. And now, obviously,
Brandon's been out with the ankle. Herb has been, he's out definitely because of the shoulder injury. So we may not see what this team looks like whole this season. And I think it's kind of, when you see this last 10 games and you're like, man, it's a sense of what could have been that I think is what kind of stands out to me.
No, and Andrew Lopez, our guest, you'll get him on Twitter, X, at @Andrew_Lopez. The preseason win projection for this team was like 45 and a half, which would have put them probably somewhere around the play-in tournament. I'm looking right now, the midseason projected win total is 26. So even if you are healthy and playing better, are you doing that to your own detriment long term by playing yourself, deeper into the lottery or further out of the lot? You understand what I'm saying? Lessening your chances. So what do you do here for the second half? Because there's quite honestly just not enough runway for you to get back into the playoff conversation. So what do you do?
I think you do what Memphis did last year, and you play hard. And I know Memphis ended up having a lot of season-ending injuries, suspensions. Ja was only played, I think, in 9 games last year. Marcus Smart missed a bunch of time. A bunch of their guys missed a bunch of time. But when you have guys at the end of the year still play hard, what you do is it still it gives you something to go off of. And look, would it be great to get a chance at Cooper Flagg and whoever's going to be the number 1 pick? I'm assuming it's Cooper, and you got Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, a whole bunch of other guys up there. But anybody in that top 10 is going to be a good basketball player. And when you see what Memphis did, and Memphis basically took it and said, look, here's where we are. You add Zach Edey to that, and before he was injured was kind of the front runner, I think, for Rookie of the Year. So you play hard. I think it's one of those things where I believe the basketball gods reward you. You go back to the year they got Zion. There was they won some games, I think, in April that most fans would have hoped for them to lose, but a 6% chance landed you Zion Williamson. And I think you can be in a situation right now where you kind of, you honor the basketball gods, if you want to say it that way. You don't openly tank or rest 23-year-olds. Not that any team I know could possibly do that. I don't know. No examples from the last weekend's games jump out to me. By that, but you do things the right way, and at worst, you're going to still end up with a very, very good player. Again, to get back into the play-in picture, you have to basically play like 800 ball. That's very, very hard to do, and was going to be hard to do even if you had your entire complement of players. But go out there and at least foster this culture of winning. That way, when you do have everybody else next year, it's not, oh, you're coming off of a losing mentality. You're building on something.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Like, you're not good enough to be good, and you don't want to be bad enough, or you're not bad enough to be awful. So you're in this weird, just sort of like middle ground of, I don't know, kind of like the Saints. And it's just a weird thing. Odd that there's ownership shared by both those franchises that are terrible. Anyway, look, man, it's going to be fascinating to watch what they do here in the second half. We appreciate it. We'll call on you again. Hopefully keep putting some wins together and make this interesting down the stretch. We appreciate you, man.
Sounds good, man. Thanks for having me.
Always. That's Andrew Lopez. You'll get him on Twitter, X, @_Andrew_Lopez. Of course, Andrew, been a longtime friend of the show, was with ESPN covering the Pels, then went to work for ESPN covering just Wemby. He moved to San Antonio just as like the Wemby guy, because whenever the Pelicans got Zion, he was the Zion guy. Kind of like in 2010 when LeBron went to Miami, that's when ESPN hired Windhorst specifically as the LeBron Miami guy. But Andrew wanted to be closer to home, and so we had the opportunity there to be the Pelicans sideline reporter when Jen Hale moved on, and he's done an awesome job with it. It's just unfortunate that this barrage of injuries derailed what could have been, a team maybe trying to look to move its way up through the postseason. It's just been a disaster. But as they're starting to get players back, they're starting to actually win. As you heard, 7 of 10. It's 4 in a row. It's 5 of their last 6. I'm not going to sit here and do the math, but they've actually managed to scratch out wins since they've gotten healthy. And the concern is just what he said there. Like, do you end up winning enough to where you play yourself out of contention for the top of the draft? Which could happen. So see how they play it the rest of the way, and that may be the most interesting thing with the Pels the rest of the way. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com, Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Gents, Valentine's 2 weeks from tomorrow. 15 days away. 2 weeks from tomorrow is Valentine's Day. No, I'm sorry. It's 3 weeks from tomorrow. Yeah, 3 weeks from tomorrow. Sorry. Boy, a lot of you got a little nervous, didn't you? Well, then why wait? Go to Lee Michaels right now. Or if you're not going to go in the store, go online. They got featured gifts that are expertly selected. Gifts under $1,000 right there on the homepage of the website. You can shop it at lmfj.com to see the wide range of things from rings and tennis bracelets and earrings and pendants and watches. So many amazing gifts at Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Check them out online at lmfj.com. And ladies, if you want to buy him maybe a beautiful watch, a writing utensil, beautiful pens that they have, amazing. You can find it all at Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, and Shreveport. 9 locations in all. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. All right, Kendall Rogers, bottom of this hour. We'll look forward to having Kendall here, kind of start some of the baseball talk, because we're also, tomorrow is not only 3 weeks from Valentine's, it's 3 weeks from opening day, and the Tigers and the rest of college baseball begin practice tomorrow, Friday. It's the first day of practice for college baseball. They're going to put some heaters out there to get the rest of the snow off the field at the box, but they're going to go practice for the first time on Friday. We'll talk about it with Kendall Rogers in about 15 minutes. When we come back, because we were out Tuesday, we did not get to get our final thoughts on the national championship game. I'll share that with you next at AFR.
After Further Review.
Men, if you want to restore that feeling of vitality and youth, Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness can help. Yes, they have ED treatments. If you're struggling with ED, it's a real thing. A lot of guys deal with it. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness can help. But it's not just ED treatments. They also offer hormone replacement therapy, medically managed hormone replacement therapy. And I can tell you firsthand from my experience that it doesn't matter your age or how you think, how old or young you think you are. It's about how you feel. And every one of us ages and ages at a different rate. And sometimes stress can be an accelerator of the aging process. I always give the example of presidents. Look at a president when he goes into office, when he comes out of office. Look how much he aged. Stress can do that to you. It is a physical manifestation on your body. If you want to feel like your younger self again, a simple blood test can let you know if you're a candidate for hormone replacement therapy. Lowest prices, never any contracts. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
The story gets to get told now, and it's a great story about a bunch of guys who have just overcome some really tough situations. And there's a point where there's a lot of people that counted us out, and we just kept swinging and kept fighting. It's the reason why you get into coaching, is to see guys overcome things, learn life lessons, and then reach their dreams. This is what happened tonight.
A Ryan Day after the Ohio State Buckeyes win the national championship in the inaugural 12-team college football playoff. Television numbers are out, 22.1 million viewers. It's the most viewed non-NFL sporting event over the past year. However, it is a double-digit drop, a 12% drop from a year ago when Michigan beat Washington. The peak audience was in the first half. It was in the second quarter when the score was tied at 7. But then from there, as we well know, Ohio State ran roughshod over Notre Dame, scored 31 unanswered, and the game was put to bed really early in the third quarter. At that point, it was just all elementary. What was the final score going to be? And Notre Dame, to their credit, tried to make a little bit of a run at it, but it was over in a big way. The big takeaway for us here, and I know there's a lot of this narrative about the Big Ten surpassing the SEC. I just think you're going to see more of this in college football with a 12-team playoff because, let's be perfectly honest, that was a 2-loss Ohio State team that in a 4-team playoff would not have been in the field. But the playoff acted as it should to allow the best teams to prove it on the field. If we were still in a 4-team era, your playoff would have been Oregon against Penn State in the 1-4, Georgia against Texas in the 2-3. It would have been a completely SEC Big Ten playoff. You would have had half the field from the SEC, and you would have had an SEC team in the championship game and might have won it. Who knows? But this is what a playoff is supposed to do. Let teams go decide it on the field instead of in a hotel ballroom in suburban Dallas. So I'm excited for it and what it means for the future. But locally here, meaning in Louisiana as it pertains to LSU, the big takeaway should be that we can put to bed the silly narratives from Notre Dame people and nationally about Brian Kelly being the thing that was holding Notre Dame back. I have been screaming about this since the day LSU hired Brian Kelly. And there are a lot of people who, with the run Notre Dame went on, were trying to tell you that Marcus Freeman had brought Notre Dame to heights that Brian Kelly couldn't achieve. And I sat in this very chair at this very microphone and told you, no, he hadn't. Because, like I just said about Ohio State, but for an expanded playoff, Notre Dame wouldn't have even been in. They wouldn't have been in a 4-team playoff. Brian Kelly did that twice. Brian Kelly also played for a national championship when only 2 teams got in it. And yep, his teams got curb stomped every time they got there. Why? Not because Brian Kelly forgot how to coach. Because he ran up against NFL rosters that kicked the crap out of his team of really good college football players. Sound familiar? Yeah, because we saw it again on Monday night. You had an Ohio State team that cost a reported $30 million in NIL. I don't know if I believe that number, but I believe it was 20. The number I was told for Ole Miss was 18, and I certainly believe that Ohio State touched or maybe surpassed that number. You watched it. Notre Dame threw everything at Ohio State in that first drive. Was it 18 plays, chewed up 10 minutes of the first quarter? They got in the end zone. Boy, did that look hard, though, didn't it? And then what happened? Ohio State got the ball, went right down the field and scored. And from that point, the remainder of the half, Ohio State had 3 yards on 7 plays. Ohio State scored 31 unanswered points. It was over. It was an ass-kicking up and down the field in every way. And then Emeka Egbuka fumbled when Ohio State was going in again. And credit Notre Dame, they didn't quit fighting. I mean, they played really hard. But that was never in doubt. And just when you thought that maybe Notre Dame was trying to make a game of it, Ohio State put together the drive, went up 2 scores again, it was over. It was not competitive. And this is not in any way to be disparaging to Marcus Freeman or the Notre Dame players. I think that was a good team, and he's a really good coach, and they had a great run in the playoff and got all the way to a championship game. But the point in this isn't to unearth the Brian Kelly, Marcus Freeman debate again. It's to tell you, to illustrate to you, as someone who follows, supports, cares about LSU, that no, Brian Kelly wasn't the problem at Notre Dame. The shortcomings in the national championship games or the college football player weren't because Brian Kelly couldn't coach in the big game or Brian Kelly was a lazy recruiter. It's because Notre Dame has a self-imposed glass ceiling. If you care to, and it's the great thing about the digital era, everything's recorded, you can go back to the show I did right here the day LSU hired Brian Kelly. And I told you something, not that I was guessing at, something that I know firsthand. Having lived there, know a lot about Notre Dame. The advantages they've had historically don't hold water anymore. And unless and until they're willing to take off their own self-imposed restrictions to be able to build a roster that can compete with Ohio State or 2018 Clemson or 2020 Bama or 2012 Bama, you know the list. They'll never be able to do it. In a one-off regular season game, could they play a great game? And sure. But you saw that team. I mean, they beat Georgia, who had a backup quarterback, and needed a kickoff return and some untimely turnovers by Georgia. Congrats, you did it. Is anyone really thinking that Penn State was a world beater this year? I think it was a really good game between two teams that either of them would have gotten their head kicked in by Ohio State in that national championship game. My point is, all that narrative that you might have started to believe about Brian Kelly, flush it, because it's not true. Brian Kelly's a great coach. He's the winningest active coach in college football, and he brought Notre Dame to a level it had not been in the 20 years before he got there. That's a fact. That is a fact. He established them as a consistently great program again, but he left there because he didn't have the resources to win at the highest level. And maybe with NIL, they're getting closer. We played the comments for you from Brady Quinn about how he got all pissed off about Brian Kelly leaving. So he started engaging, started a collective and boosters and fundraising. And great, still not there. Very clearly still not there. Because Notre Dame doesn't know what a championship looks like. And I don't mean for that to be disparaging or derogatory. It's just true. They haven't won one since 88. College football has taken on 4 or 5 different iterations since 1988. Like, the 5-star in South Florida doesn't give a rip about the Gipper or the 4 Horsemen. It doesn't. You know what they know? It's cold as hell, and South Bend is a crappy town in northwest Indiana. And they're on TV like everybody else. Why would I go there? That's what they don't want to fight against. That's why Brian Kelly left. What Brian Kelly hasn't had yet here, which a lot is his own fault, is the right staff, roster to be able to compete on the national level. Listen, Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, for as long as you and I live, we're going to vomit in our mouths thinking about that defense with that collection of offense, because that team should have won a national championship a year ago if you were competent on defense, and you weren't. Who hired the defensive coordinator? Brian Kelly did. Who mismanaged the defensive roster when you had opportunities in the portal? Brian Kelly did. He gets fault for that. I'm blaming him for that. He's the head coach. He screwed up a generational offense. but he's also got an opportunity to fix it. And LSU has given him the resource to do it, unlike Notre Dame. That's why LSU currently has the number one transfer portal class in the country. And you've got a 4,000-yard passer returning, and you've got a great running back returning, and you've got Chris Hilton and Aaron Anderson returning, and you've got a top 10 recruiting class coming in. You got it all now. So I'm telling you right now how I feel today. But if in 1 year from now, remember what I told you on signing day? What did I tell you? I said, in this year on signing day, I said, talk to me in a month. When everybody was freaking out, Bryce Underwood, Kate, I said, talk to me in a month. Because what they did was they said, we're not going to overspend on high school kids. We're going to take that money instead. We're going to go into the portal. And what have they done? Number one portal class. And everybody feels a lot better, don't they? So, talk to me in 1 year. If in 1 year, we're sitting here and LSU with this roster does not make the 12-team college football playoff, then I will tell you, Brian Kelly, there is a ceiling on where he will get you, and it's not where you want to be. But I think this roster for 2025 is plenty good enough to get into the college football playoff. And if they're not, we'll have a different conversation. But I have a sneaking suspicion LSU will be in the playoff and could very well be playing in the last game with the roster they've assembled right now. But time will tell. The one thing we know for certain, Brian Kelly was not Notre Dame's problem. Marcus Freeman's not a bad coach. Notre Dame is Notre Dame's problem and will continue to be until they decide it's not going to be a problem anymore. All right, it's after further review. Thursday shows are brought to you by Decision Critical. DecisionCriticalBR.com. Not just healthcare for your lifestyle. Maybe you're caring for an elderly parent and you need in-home help. Decision Critical can be there for you. DecisionCriticalBR.com to learn more and set up that discovery phone call. DecisionCriticalBR.com. All right, Kendall Rogers, next, AFR.
After further review.
We're brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001. Hey, as the thaw out, the great thaw out of 2025 continues, if you discover that you have issues with your HVAC as a result of maybe the snow and ice compacting over there, and you have an issue, our friends at River City's 1 Hour Air can help. Remember, nights, holidays, weekends, they'll always come out. They'll never charge you extra to come out nights, holidays, and weekends, so give them a shout. 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. Spell it out, O-N-E, 1hourbr.com. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. The units are already driving around Greater Baton Rouge area. As soon as it was safe to get out and about, they're back out and about. So if you have an issue with that home central heater, call our friends at River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at SunEquip.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Tomorrow when you wake up, it'll be the day that LSU baseball hits the practice field. Kind of incredible. They might have to, blow some snow off the field there at the box, but they're going to get out there and get after it. Must feel like Christmas for Kendall Rogers over at D1 Baseball. Your long baseball winter is over. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. Actually, it does feel like Christmas in more ways than one. You know it's college baseball season when it's frigid, people's pipes are bursting, and oh, by the way, Baton Rouge, Louisiana gets 8 inches of snow.
Crazy, man. It was beautiful, though. I mean, it was beautiful for a minute and then just annoying the rest of the time. Hey, there's always expectation here. D1 Baseball thinks pretty highly of Jay Johnson's squad. Give me your take overall on you all have LSU number 3 in the country in your preseason rankings. Give me the bird's eye view of what you think about Jay's squad.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is when I look at this team overall, it just looks like a club that, has balance. It's not a team that is very heavy offensive. And then when you look at the pitching staff, like a couple of years ago, granted that team won the championship, but it's like outside of Paul and a couple other guys, the pitching staff was very vanilla and just pretty average. I feel like this is the team where I think as the season progresses, the offense is going to be really good. And I think at the start of the season, the pitching staff is going to be really good. So this is a very much a sum of its all parts kind of club. And I think by probably the middle of the year, this is going to be a national championship caliber club. The biggest thing for me is, can Cade Anderson be the Friday night guy we all think he can be? Does Anthony Ianson make that transition that we all, again, electric stuff, but can he make that transition like we all think he can be? So there are some question marks to this team like anybody in the country, but the upside with this club is massive.
Surprised you didn't mention Chase Shores in there as well. I think we're all excited.
Yeah, he's in there.
I think we're all excited to see what Chase Shores can be. You've probably actually put eyes on him more than we have. What is a realistic expectation for Shores coming off that Tommy John?
Yeah, I have seen. I'm one of the few people that have seen Chase Shores. I saw him during the fall scrimmage in Lafayette a couple years ago against the Cajuns. And my first takeaway, the third pitch, was like, wow. And, he's an opposing guy on the mound. That day that I saw him, his fastball was up to 98. It was a wipeout slider, and it sounds like he's kind of developed his breaking ball a little bit better. And so I think that if Chase Shore stays healthy and he has the kind of year that his talent says he can have, it's an All-American kind of year. So you are right in the sense that, he is a frontline guy if he's healthy and if he kind of shakes off the cobwebs. So, this is a guy that, is pretty rusty. But again, you look at, Cade, you look at, Chase, Anthony Ianson. I love the hard-nosed nature of a guy like Guidry at the back end, and there are a lot of other options out there for LSU. But, yeah, Chase Shores, he probably has the most overall, quote-unquote, potential of any guy on this pitching staff.
What you agree that they have enough arms, yes?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So of the newcomers, if I asked you today, of the newcomers that LSU has, who do you think, in whatever role, plays the biggest role for this LSU team in 2025?
Well, I think if you look at the pitching staff, I think we all have to agree Ianson, right? This is a guy that was the top pitching transfer in the transfer class in college baseball this past summer. He's a guy that is way better talent-wise than number 3 starter in a week in rotation. So I look at it if Anthony pans out the way we think he probably will. I mean, you're talking about one of the best pitchers in college baseball as your Sunday guy. And when you think of, LSU versus some of the other SEC teams, that's an absolute game changer. Connor Ware was a guy that during the fall, was electric from the left side, mid-90s fastball, really good breaking stuff. I think he is kind of an instant impact guy. And I think, Derek Curiel, the talented freshman, the thing I liked about him, and Jay's mentioned this numerous times, is that Derek can kind of play a multitude of positions around the field. And I think that's a luxury, and the fact that he's kind of advanced a little bit more than maybe some of these other freshmen around the country, is really interesting. And so I would look at Curiel, Ianson, and probably Connor Ware. Connor Ware is a guy that they've really pinpointed as an arm that can help them from day one, and also, by the way, just be a really good arm from day one.
Kendall Rogers, D1 Baseball. Get him at Kendall Rogers. Dude, Bear Jones is coming off a season where he hit 28 homers. He's back. But there's no Tommy White. Does he have enough protection in the lineup to where he's going to be able to have that impact again this season?
I think he absolutely can have that kind of protection. I mean, I think you look up and down this lineup. My pick to click for this team is Jake Brown. I think we all kind of saw his potential last year in the fall. I think he's going to have a big bounce back year from last year. And granted, he wasn't awful last year, but I mean, there's the talent level with Jake Brown is a lot better than 264. I think you look up and down the lineup. Michael Braswell is not going to blow you away as a hitter, but again, he's a solid piece down lineup. And then Monster Milam and Daniel Dickinson and Luis Hernandez from Indiana State. I've seen Luis numerous times in person, and he's a big-time power hitter. And it sounds like he actually made a pretty good transition in the fall. So there are enough pieces there to protect him. And somebody had reached out to me a couple weeks ago and said that he wasn't on someone's top 100 juniors list, and I couldn't believe that because I think when you look at his evolution as a hitter, a lot less swing and miss as of late. Big time power, hit for an average last year. Had some big hits down the stretch at the end of last season. I think Bear's going to have a big season. I think he's going to have plenty of protection.
You didn't mention Daniel Dickinson, who's another guy that is getting a lot of buzz around here, likely going to slide in there at second base. We just don't see a lot of Utah Valley baseball here. I can read the stats. I can look at clips. What kind of player are they getting there?
Yeah, the thing about him is he has some versatility. I mean, there's some speed there. There's an ability to swipe some bases. He's going to be a hard-nosed kind of grinder style, kind of an old-school LSU kind of player. And I think the biggest thing for him, again, we kind of talked about a couple of the arms, is just the transition period. I mean, a little different going from, batting in elevation in Utah against whack pitching, and then going to the SEC and Baton Rouge to about the lowest place you could possibly hit elevation-wise. So there is a difference there between those two places. How he makes that transition will be key. But again, this is a multiple-tool kind of guy who can, he can hit for power for LSU. He can steal some bases. So, he's a pretty exciting overall player when you look at his gap potential and speed and athleticism.
A couple more for you. Where does LSU, here at the launching point, where do they fit in? If you're looking at pole position in the SEC, who else might be ahead of them right now when you look at the roster?
Probably just A&M. I mean, it's interesting because, naturally people go, what about Tennessee? But I think when you look at Tennessee, they're replacing a lot from a pitching standpoint. So I think that's a huge question mark for me. I would say the only team is probably just A&M. I mean, thanks to NIL, but I mean, they've got the best team that I would say, to some degree money can buy. I mean, they're absolutely loaded offensively. They're loaded on the mound. I mean, they had a guy in Ryan Prager who turned down $1.3 million because of NIL to go back to A&M for another season for a chance to win the program's first national title. So I would just say A&M right now. LSU, what's really interesting is LSU might actually be a little bit more balanced by season's end. I'd actually feel a little bit better about LSU's overall pitching than I do A&M's right now, but just A&M's offensive lineup. I mean, they're going to set all sorts of offensive records in the modern era this year, I think.
Does the transition to Michael Early as the new skipper there in College Station, does that have any impact, good or bad?
I mean, right now it's probably a good impact just because I think the motivation level is pretty high. I think he's a very confident guy in himself. I think the biggest question mark with me with Michael Early is every SEC team goes through some sort of 2-week period, no matter what. We've seen LSU teams that have won a national championship that have gone through a rut. These teams are going to go through a rut. These coaches are going to have to make tough decisions with the lineup, and how he handles that and how he handles games late in tight situations will be really interesting to me. That's literally the only question mark I have with their team is how he manages late in the game and how they handle adversity. I mean, as good as they're going to be, they will play LSU in a weekend. They will lose a series to LSU. They will lose a series to Texas or something like that. And they're going to have to pick up the pieces and bounce right back because the SEC is an unforgiving league. When they kind of see blood in the water, they're going to kind of take you under even more. And he's going to have to deal with that at some point. And just the uncertainty surrounding him, like how he's going to handle the locker room, is the one thing with me. It will not be easy. Like everyone expects him to win the national championship, and how often does that happen? Almost never.
It's a hard thing to do, as it turns out. Hey, before you go, we tend to be sort of like micro-focused, right, on our own. So we look at LSU and we look at the SEC. I noticed on the preseason All-America team, you all at D1 Baseball have the same number of players in the SEC as the ACC. What are the teams to look out for in the ACC as well?
Yeah, I mean, the ACC has really evolved as a league. I mean, it's always been a really good league, but it's always been a pretty sizable step, I believe, below the SEC. I think the gap is getting closer. I don't think they'll ever be the SEC, but they're getting much closer. I think Virginia is going to be really good. I mean, you look at Henry Ford back this year, Harrison Didewick. They're really loaded offensively. They've got a nice piece in the weekend rotation, Evan Blanco. North Carolina, who certainly LSU fans are well aware of. Luke Stevenson, their backstop. Jason DeCaro, their talented ace who threw against LSU. Those guys are back. They've got a lot of pieces back in that team outside of Vance Honeycutt. So I think North Carolina is a national championship contender. Then you look at like Wake Forest, NC State, Clemson, that whole kind of middle tier of the ACC. All those clubs have a lot of upside too. So the thing that's really cool about that league is it's getting much deeper. Whereas I thought, even 2 years ago, it was like the SEC was really deep and really good, and the ACC was very top heavy. The ACC, it's like there's one or two teams every year now that it seems like they've kind of gotten their together, and they've kind of become a more stable, better program.
He's Kendall Rogers, D1 Baseball, D1Baseball.com. You get him on Twitter, X, at Kendall Rogers. It's the time where we get to bother you a lot, and that's a good time in my life.
We get to talk about Todd Peterson as well.
Ted
Peterson. Oh, there we go.
My guy. As they would say, mid-season form. There.
I like it.
There it is.
He had it close by. He had it close by.
I tell you,
good job, Russo.
He had this look on his face, this like teeth gritting, nose scrunching look on his face as well. How dare you?
I wasn't ready. He got me there. I was not ready.
He got very lucky.
It was close enough. Hey, you know what? You were close enough. I'm satisfied.
All right.
He got very lucky, and that mouse found the Todd Peterson button pretty quickly.
Ted Peterson.
Tell me I'm lying.
No, you're not.
Oh, man.
The look on the face.
Good talking to you guys, man.
Thanks.
We'll see y'all soon.
Thanks, Kendall. That's Kendall Rogers, D1 Baseball. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Parish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Tell you every day to do business with someone you know. That's me and Terrio and Richard Tilley and Joe Morales and Trent Davis and our great staff over there at Parish. Honest to goodness, that true story. My godmother called me yesterday. They had a pipe bust, went through the wall in their garage. She said, "Is this something Parish does?" Yes. That's the construction part of Parish Construction and Roofing. Basically, from the roof on down, everything we can help with. So if you have an issue as a result of the snow, the freeze, the melt, subsequently, ice dams form on people's roof as a result of all this through the melt. If you have any issues, give us a shout. Look, you go to the homepage of our website. It's a video from Kim Mulkey right there doing her testimonial. We've done work at Coach Mulkey's house, members of her family. If it's good enough for Coach Mulkey, give us a shout. We'd love to help. Do business with someone you know. Go to parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. You fill out the form on the homepage of the website. It'll take you like 30 seconds, literally 30 seconds. Boom, you're in our system. Someone will be in touch with you immediately to schedule a consult. Parishbuilt.com. Do business with someone you know. Parish Construction and Roofing. All right, final break here of hour number 2. Otter Locks about an hour from right now, although they are posted at LouisianaSports.net. If you want to get Jimmy's bets for tonight, you can get them for free at LouisianaSports.net right now. Knock out a quick break. Come back. You still have Tigers and the Pros. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Clegg's Nursery. 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Segan Air Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Tell you every day, buy local, shop local. Of course, everyone saw it. The freeze came along with the snow, and it certainly did a number on a lot of people's everything. Clegs will be resuming normal business hours on Friday. That is the plan. So open today, Thursday from 9 to 4. So they're actually closed right now. But they'll resume normal hours on Friday. And they're going to start getting plants uncovered and everything sort of resituated. But if you had an issue with anything at your house, at your home, make sure you get by Clegs. If you have trouble with trees or flowers or plants as a result of the freeze, their horticulturists can help, and they'll have everything that you need. So get on by and check them out at Clegs Nursery. They can help. 4 locations. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you to Clegs Nursery.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Parish Construction and Roofing. This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Wrapping up hour number 2. We always appreciate our friends over at Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. It's not just healthcare, it's healthcare for your lifestyle. You can learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com. Cold and flu season. You want to prevent that cold or flu, or you need to bounce back from an illness. IV hydration therapy, always a great option, and they come to you, to your home, to your office. Decisioncriticalbr.com. Muso, Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
All right, in case you missed it.
ICYMI.
Yes, exactly. The AP announced the finalists for the 2024 NFL awards season. Joe Burrow, a 3-time finalist this go-round, MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, and Comeback Player of the Year. Jamar Chase lands a recognition for being a finalist for the Offensive Player of the Year. And then, of course, Offensive Rookie of the Year. By now, you've definitely seen this. If you haven't, you might be living under a rock. Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, and Brian Thomas Jr., all finalists for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'll be really curious to see how many of them can finish in the top 3. I think you have a good shot at 2 out of the 3. Brock Bowers is probably going to be in there as well.
Bowers will be runner-up.
Yep. Speaking of Brian Thomas Jr., he got some more good news. He is replacing Zay Flowers on the AFC Pro Bowl team.
Hey,
so how about that? Pro Bowl selection
bit.
as a rookie for Thomas. 87 catches, over 1,200 yards, and 10 touchdowns for the Jags this season. He's not the only one getting good news when it comes to the Pro Bowl. Danielle Hunter has also been added to the AFC Pro Bowl team as a replacement. He is replacing Raiders star Max Crosby, who's, of course, is injured. This is the 5th time Hunter will be a Pro Bowler.
Who, of course, doesn't want to play in the game because nobody does. Although they don't play the game.
But now I have to say, like, flag football, right?
Yeah,
pretty
skills,
much.
competition.
Yeah.
Look at Danielle Hunter's arms in that
he's
thing. Like
he's an absolute freak show.
I mean, my God.
Yeah.
Like, what are you?
An alien.
Is that real?
It's real. It's real. All that led to 46 tackles, 17 for loss, and 12 sacks. Nas Reed, 12-6.
Should have stayed.
27 minutes of play. Really
would have
solid.
been 13-7.
Could have been. Or not, I should say would have been. And Tari Eason, also 12-6. Last night shot 40% from the floor, plus 19. That's Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Evermore, EVAMOR, Evermore.com, Evermore.com. Drink Evermore, y'all. Hey, if you were locked up in your house like everybody else, maybe your water busted, you had no running water. What do you need? You need Evermore. Natural artesian water. It's a healthier alternative for your children. If you're an athlete and you want a better form of hydration, drink Evermore. EVAMOR, Evermore.com, Evermore.com. A great Louisiana product. To find the local retailers near you that sell it, go to Evermore.com. Find a store locator there. Drink Evermore. EVAMOR, Evermore.com. Over, under, win total for LSU football next year.
AFR.
That's after the break. Boy, you're not going to like this. You know what you will love? The deals at South Point Volkswagen. How about that transition? Hashtag radio guy. Airline just north of Highlander, SouthPointVW.com. You know, one of the crazy things that we're all learning with the weather and the snow and the ice, if you did try to get out, having an all-wheel drive vehicle, pretty good whenever you've got when you get snow and ice on the ground. Not that that's the norm for us, but we do deal with rain and slick streets often. If you want one of the safest vehicles on the road, you want to drive a Volkswagen. The IIHS top safety picks, the highest safety designation, the great German engineering, and manufactured right here in the US of A at their Chattanooga, Tennessee plant. So you're buying the great German engineering, but the benefit of buying an American-built car. It's South Point Volkswagen. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction?
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. a family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. The Spurs blow out the Pacers today in Paris, 140-110. Victor Wembanyama, back in his hometown, puts up 30 points, 11 boards, 6 assists, and 5 blocks for the Spurs. San Antonio scored 80 points in the second half. The Magic will have Franz Wagner on the floor for tonight's game against the Trailblazers. He's been out 7 weeks with a torn right oblique. Wagner is averaging 24 points a game. Only 3 days now until Championship Sunday in the NFL. In the NFC title game, the Commanders try to continue their dream run as they play the Eagles. When did Washington coach Dan Quinn start to think Jaden Daniels and this team was legit?
I knew early on the poise was really good. And then as it got into these moments where it became great, that's a big deal. I thought our team over the last maybe 6 weeks, we've gotten better on the field, but we've also gotten better in between our ears.
Washington Commanders coach Dan Quinn.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. At Progressive, they're making things even easier. They'll help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride! Go!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. I'm Matt.
You're a loser!
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You so. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right. We're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. 5 o'clock, quitting time if you work today, you lazy bums. We're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock, quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us or doing whatever it is that you're doing. Seriously, though, very excited to be back after a couple days where we were just, roads were impassable. Nobody could get here. And so we weren't on air the last 2 days. And I was probably the lone human alive that was like, really ticked that I couldn't work because maybe I just have an illness. But whatever. Glad to be back and glad to have you here chopping it up. Mel Kiper's got a mock draft out. We'll delve into that. Some of the LSU guys. Muse, Paulie, and I will get to what to watch for the NFL weekend in the conference championship games. That's coming up, Otter Locks, to wrap up the show as well. So a busy hour still straight ahead. If you missed anything, AFR On Demand presented by Brett Golf. You can get it all on podcast or YouTube. Just search AFR LSU or AFR Saints for your LSU or your Saints content. If you want the full show, just search After Further Review. So the college football season is over, and now everyone turns the page to 2025. You're seeing all the way too early top 25 polls. You're seeing a lot of way too early Heisman projections. By the way, Nussmeier either tied with Arch Manning for the best odds or just behind Arch Manning with the second best odds. One of the reasons that I'm very high on LSU in 2025 is I think a lot of people will be. But there are a lot of sports books and odds makers that are putting out their projected win totals for 2025 already if you want to take an early stab at that. And I won't bury the lead here. You are not going to like what sportsbook.ag has for LSU's projected win total in 2025. They've got the Tigers pegged over under 8.5. 8.5. Basically, they're projecting LSU either to be 9-3 or 8-4. And I'm here to tell you, brother, if LSU in 2025 goes 9-3 or 8-4, anything less than 10-2, that will be an unmitigated, cataclysmic disaster. Because when you have a 4,000-yard passer returning, who, by the way, is the leading returning passer in the country, Garrett Nussmeier, you have a top 10 recruiting class coming in, the number one transfer portal class in the country, Jacobian Guillory coming off of injury, Harold Perkins returning off of injury, and did I mention the number one transfer portal class in the country, which would rival what Ohio State did a year ago, what Ole Miss did a year ago, what Florida State did 2 years ago. You went, hey, we're going all in this year, brother. The same way we talked about Ohio State and Ole Miss, the all-in season. That's where LSU is. All that money, all in. I think you are objectively, you have better talent on the defensive side. Can we all agree to that? Like, I don't even know that there is a counter argument to this. I mean, you're getting Ashton Stamps back. You're getting Witt and West Weeks back. Jordan Gilbert will return. Deshaun Spears returns. You're getting Jacobian Guillory off of injury. Guys like Ahmad Bro, Don McKinley for another year. Devon Keys a year older. A lot of those guys are back. And you went and added 3 of the best edge guys in the entire portal class, including the best edge guy in the class in Patrick Payton. You went and added Mansour Delane, who's a plug-and-play starter at corner or safety, to Marcus Cooley, who's a plug-and-play starter at safety. I mean, you went ham in the transfer portal on the defensive side. Your talent is objectively better on the defensive side of the ball going into 2025 than you were in 24. And I think your coaching staff's pretty good. So if you got a good defensive coaching staff with Blake Baker and Bo Davis and Corey Raymond and Jake Olson and Kevin Peoples, you should be better. How much better, I don't know. But if your offense is going to be one of the top offenses in the country, which it should be, that defense should be able to play complementary football and get you to, at minimum, 10-2 to be in the playoff. So over under 8-5, I cannot imagine the scenario. Now, I'm going to tell you how I think they got to that number in a second, but I can't imagine that unfolding, especially when I look at the rest of these numbers. Let's run through it. They got Georgia and Texas at 10.5. 2 teams that played for the SEC championship, that both made the playoff. Tennessee made the playoff, 9.5. I have major reservations about Tennessee. You're losing the SEC Offensive Player of the Year. You're losing a lot of that defensive front 7, including James Pierce. And Nico didn't prove that he could actually beat you throwing the football this year. I have a lot of reservations about Tennessee. Anyway, and they got to go to Bama, like the schedule flips. So 9 wins, Ole Miss and Bama. I think that's both laughable. Bama, I think, was 9-3 this year. They lose 24 more players out of the portal. That's not even counting draft or guys out of eligibility. They're going to turn over half their roster again. They're still not a good coaching staff without Nick Saban there. I think top ceiling for Bama is 9-3 this year. Ceiling. And that ain't just Bama hate. I've been sitting here saying it since the day Nick Saban left, and y'all know I was right. Ole Miss, I think, has a giant step back this year, similar to what you saw at Florida State. I don't think they're going to be a 2-win football team, but Florida State was the example of going all in, and then what happens when all those guys are gone in 1 year. And they face-planted. 2 wins. I'm not telling you Ole Miss is going to be a 2-win team, but I think no Jackson Dart, no Trey Harris, Princely Uman-Mielen, Walter Nolan, all those guys that you brought in, they're all gone in one fell swoop. What are you? I don't know. I think they're pretty good at quarterback. I think. But I got super reservations about both those. A&M, you play them, 8 wins. Oklahoma, you play them, 7 wins. And this is the most interesting one. 2 of the most popular teams at the end of the season. Public darlings. Florida, South Carolina. Over under 6.5. You want to know why? South Carolina's not very good. Oh, they should have been in the playoffs. Nobody wanted to play them at the end of the season. I guess Illinois did. What people lost sight of with South Carolina is that while Lenore Sellers is a really good athlete, like he can't complete a vertical pass. He cannot throw the ball vertically. And defensively, their defensive front 7 was real good, but that is also a team that LSU put up 450 yards and scored 36 points or whatever it was. Like that was a great defensive front 7, not a great defense. I don't think South Carolina got pounded on their home field by Ole Miss. That's not a great South Carolina team. And neither is Florida. And then Auburn down at 5.5, which, my goodness, Hugh Freeze goes 6-6, 5-7 this year. Yellowwood maybe backing up the Brinks truck to 2x4 Hugh Freeze out of Auburn. But how did they get to LSU at 8.5, over under 8.5? So you got to find what you would find is 3 games on the schedule where LSU would be considered an underdog. Well, we already told you that if you look at the early, there's point spreads out for some of the early season marquee games. FanDuel put these out, and FanDuel had the LSU Clemson game as Clemson 2.5. So that's already one where LSU is presumably, as of now anyway, going to be an underdog. And as you look at the schedule, you go from Clemson to Louisiana Tech, home against Florida. So you play the Gators in Baton Rouge. Then you play Southeastern in Baton Rouge before you go to Ole Miss. You'll probably be there assuming an underdog at Ole Miss. Then you get an open date before you come home to play South Carolina. Again, remember, a South Carolina team that I just told you Vegas has their total at 6.5. That's a home game. You're going to be favored. Then you're at Vandy. You're home against A&M. You'll be favored both of those. Open date then at Alabama. They got Bama with a win total of 9, over under 9. They're assuming you'll be an underdog at Bama. So Clemson, Ole Miss, Bama would be the 3. And then you say, all right, is there another one out there? Did they maybe miss on Florida or South Carolina? Arkansas, Western Kentucky come to Baton Rouge, and then you go to Norman. Could an end-of-the-season road trip to Oklahoma bite you the way it did Alabama this past year? That's kind of what the odds makers are looking at right now. But I'm here to tell you, I can understand LSU being a road underdog in that opener against Clemson. You've lost 5 openers in a row. It's on the road. A lot of the narratives about LSU we're going to be having about Clemson as well. A senior quarterback returning. You returned a ton off that team a year ago that finished the season in the playoff, at ACC champion, all that. It's a true road game. But then you're home against Tech. Then you're home against Florida. And you should win those games. Then you're home against Southeastern. So, sorry, Paulie, but you get an FCS opponent where you can rest guys if you gotta before you go to Ole Miss. And that's going to be the pendulum swinging game. Because you beat Ole Miss and you come home, you're favored against South Carolina. Then you go to Nashville against Vanderbilt, which is a game you should still win. And then you're home against A&M, which, again, in Baton Rouge, a game you should win before your open date and you play Bama. And what is Bama going to be by the time you get there on November the 8th? Y'all know how I feel about it. And then it's Arkansas, Western Kentucky, and Oklahoma, so you get a breather, a layup with Western Kentucky before you got to go to Norman. Not just who you play, but when and where you play them. I understand LSU being an underdog on the road at Clemson. I think when it's all said and done, LSU will end up being favored in every other game the rest of the season. Because I believe what they did this year, this offseason, and who they're returning and who they're bringing in is going to make them on paper better than every team they play, probably even Clemson. Now, are you able to go do it? We'll see. Ole Miss is a better team on paper this year than Kentucky. They lost in their home field. Ole Miss controlled the game in Baton Rouge and gagged away an opportunity to win. Oh, let me say this. They left the door open for Garrett Nussmeier to make some incredible plays, like the 4th down touchdown to Aaron Anderson, right? You get a turnover deep in LSU's territory. Instead of kicking a field goal, they go for it on 4th and get stuffed. Like Lane Kiffin pissed away that game. Did the same thing in Florida. 3 possessions inside the 20, went for it 3 times on 4th down, came away with no points. You kick 3 field goals, you win that game. I mean, that's an Ole Miss team that should have been undefeated this year. Should have been. But shoulda, woulda, coulda. You got to go play the games. So I do think, on paper, LSU is going to be better than and favored than over every team they play as you get to the week of the game, other than the opener against Clemson. How do they fare? Better be better than 8.5. Otherwise, there are going to be riots in here. Because if LSU falls short of the playoff in 2025, then I will be singing, I'm telling you right now, clip it, mark it, everybody talk about it, write it down, save it on your phones forever, tweet it at me. If LSU finishes with less than 10 regular season wins and out of the playoff in 2025, then I will dramatically change my tune about Brian Kelly and what his ceiling in Baton Rouge is. Because if he can't make a playoff with this team, then you have a real conversation about if it is possible for him to do it here. Because when else are you going to have a 5th-year senior, 4,000-yard passer, the most expensive roster potentially in the country for next year, the guy's returning defensively, the guy's brought in, your coaching staff aligned. I mean, it's finally got it to where he wants it. You better go deliver. Better be a hell of a lot better than 8.5. All right, it's after further review. We're brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Hey, remember, if all the snow and ice has shown you that you need tires, maybe you're threadbare on those tires, get to Shaw Bills. Name brand tires, wholesale prices. The best, safest tires on the road at the cheapest price possible. Go to Shaw Bills. ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Ask about the Shaw Bills credit card. This is effectively a credit card for your vehicle. You get VIP pricing and 6 months, no interest. So if you need tires, but you don't want to pay for them up front, use the Shaw Bills credit card, get your great discount, pay for them over 6 months. Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. Shaw Bills, we keep you rolling. All right, it's after further review. Glad you're hanging out with us here. Now, if you want, you can jump aboard, get your emails, tweets, texts in. Text us in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. I'll get to some of those when we come back. Mel Kiper's latest big board and first mock draft is out, or latest mock draft, I should say, since we've known all the draft declarations. We'll get to that next on AFR.
AFR.
You know, with a lot of businesses being closed because of the weather, this is actually a good idea to take a little bit of a step back and assess your business as we head into 2025. And maybe what you're learning about your business is that you don't have the right people. Maybe it's something you know, but it's something you haven't really explored. If you need the right people, you need Glow Resources. GLO, glowresources.com, glowresources.com. At Glow Resources, they're complete employer solutions. Glow Resources are experts in finding the right people for your job, whatever that is. They're experts in finding skilled blue-collar labor, but they have the professional placement division, so any type of white-collar job, any office job, from an accounting assistant all the way up to C-level management, if you need the right people to make your business more effective, you need Glow Resources. Check them out online at glowresources.com, glowresources.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
It's interesting. There's a piece up at CBS Sports, is an agent's take piece looking at 15 players who could be traded or cut. This is from Joel Corey. Is 15 players, that could be traded or cut in this offseason. They list some notable ones. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, who I think we're all assuming will be. And then there's Derek Carr. And it was interesting because I know we've had this conversation about what it would mean or cost if the Saints did, in fact, move on from Derek Carr. But I got a text into the show from Clayton Knight who said, is there really Twitter buzz that the Giants want Derek Carr? Well, Twitter buzz is one thing. Legitimate conversation is another. And I think what he's referring to, there's this tweet from Doug Rush, who's a fan-sided reporter for the Giants, and he quotes Jordan Raanan of ESPN, who says, quote, the trade, so this again, Jordan Raanan from ESPN via Doug Rush. The trade avenue could also be an option. The future of Derek Carr in New Orleans is one that could come into question. Nothing should be ruled out. Again, that's courtesy of Jordan Raanan of ESPN. The thing that you always hear me say about trades with your players, with your assets, is it's fine. You could say you want to trade someone, but you're not just trading for the player, you're trading for the player's contract. I think the Saints would be elated, overjoyed to be able to trade Derek Carr. But you sign Derek Carr to this $150 million deal with $100 million of it guaranteed. You've already restructured his deal, so the money for which you restructured is on the cap no matter what. But if someone's going to give you an asset for Derek Carr, in a millisecond you do that. It'll put to the test Mickey Loomis's notion, which he mentioned last week in his press conference. I'd love more draft picks. I always love more draft picks, which is just a complete, total fabrication. I mean, if someone's just going to give him picks, of course, we all would. But in his entire tenure as the general manager of the New Orleans Saints, he has never traded back, ever. Like, literally never. So, no, you don't love draft picks. You know, y'all know how I feel about this. I'll state it again. If you have a trade partner for Derek Carr, you do that in a millisecond, but there's just nobody that's going to take on his contract. What's more likely to happen is one of two things. Either the Saints restructure and they have Derek Carr for another season, and he's either a very expensive backup or helps you win some games before you let him go before 2026, or you cut him. You cut him in a way that is team-friendly, where you could end up saving. It could ultimately end up costing you against the cap about, I believe we looked at the numbers, about $11 million against the cap this year if you restructure. Now, you'd be kicking that number into future years, so he'd count against your cap in future years, but each year the cap hit would be lower. And as the salary cap goes up, as NFL revenues go up, the cap goes up, it mitigates the damage there. And I think that's something that has to be considered. And you look at two instances. It was unheard of when the Eagles cut Carson Wentz and decided they were moving forward with Jalen Hurts. They cut Carson Wentz. It took a $38 million cap hit, I believe was the number, 32 or 38, whenever they cut Carson Wentz. It was the largest dead cap hit ever. But they took it and decided to move on. And then last year, this past offseason, the Broncos did the same thing with Russ. It was a $50+ million cap hit that they ate just to move on, to clear the deck with Bo Nix, and they got into the playoffs. So that's where I stand on it. I'm ready to wipe my hands of Derek Carr and move on to whatever's next. And I don't think that you're going to be able to go get a franchise quarterback in this year's draft. I think what I'd rather see is it. So I'm not just saying, cut him without giving you a solution. I'm giving you a solution. Cut Derek Carr. You do so in a manner post-June 1 designation that helps you save money in the cap and for this year. And you go into this season with Spencer Rattler, Jake Haener, and then you sign a veteran free agent type player to a one-year deal. Jacoby Brissett, Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, that's the type of quarterback. Those are free agents this year, the caliber of quarterback which I'm speaking. You sign him to a one-year deal. You let him come in, compete, and maybe Rattler or Haener beats him out, or maybe that becomes the guy who is just the sacrificial lamb in 2025. You face plant in 2025 because you're not going to be good. Your roster's not good enough to be good. You're not good enough to compete. And so then you go into the 2026 draft with a top 5-ish pick, and in what should be a deeper quarterback draft class, you make your play for your franchise. That's what I would like to see happen. Now, I don't believe that's what they're going to do because Mickey Loomis has proven to be averse to the rebuild. And the only way that I think they could do that or would do that is if whoever the new coach they hire comes in, and that's the caveat. They don't want Derek Carr, and so the Saints have a path forward without Derek Carr. That would be the option that I would see. But until we know definitively who the new head coach is, then we don't have an answer to that question of what the Saints are going to do with Derek Carr. But you know my point. If Derek Carr comes back and plays for you in 2025, okay, so you go from a 5-win team maybe to a 7 or 8-win team. I think that's plausible. As I've said, Derek Carr isn't an awful player. He's just not a great player. Higher floor, lower ceiling. It's been my point about Derek Carr since literally the day they signed him. And there's nothing that we've seen over the course of 2 years that has moved me off of that opinion. Higher floor, lower ceiling. Okay, so you want to bring back Derek Carr. You don't tank, you win 7 games, and you pick 13, 14, 15, somewhere in there, and you miss out on the elite quarterbacks in this class. Okay, that's what you want to do. It's not what I want to do. But to the question where it started about could the Saints find a trading partner for Derek Carr, that wouldn't make a lick of sense. Because if I'm another NFL team, what I'm looking at with Derek Carr is, would the Saints cut him? Because if they do, then I could go sign him to a team-friendly deal, and I don't have to give up draft capital to get him. But if anybody wants to line up and give the Saints an asset to take not only Derek Carr, but Derek Carr's contract, come on, please, come on down. Let's go to dinner. My pen or yours? Easy decision there. All right, it's after further review. You know where you can take him to dinner? Supper Club. Whew, how about that? Please, Mr. Mara, please come down. Yes, New Orleans, some of the finest restaurants in the world. But there's one just up the road in Baton Rouge that's finer than any in New Orleans. That's Supper Club. SupperClubBTR.com. SupperClubBTR.com for your reservations. Listen, I've told you about Supper Club and how they sell that Japanese omi beef. That's the farm in Japan that it's 400 years old. And that's the beef that they thought had sacred powers. Like they fed it to their samurai. That's the Emperor of Japan. It's his favorite steak is the Japanese omi beef from this one farm in Japan. They've got it at Supper Club. Told you all the time. Listen, you want to go to Supper Club and have an amazing meal for the same amount of money as you'd spend at any other fine dining restaurant. You could do that. They have an incredible USDA prime steaks. The veal parm is incredible. Chilean sea bass. I mean, the lamb chops. There are amazing things up and down that menu. But you want the one-in-a-kind type of things you won't find anywhere else in this city, this state, in the country. You don't have to go to Abu Dhabi. You don't have to go to Paris or London, San Francisco, New York. Let's go to Perkins Road. Supper Club. SupperClubBTR.com. SupperClubBTR.com. Book your reservations today. SupperClubBTR.com. Told you we were going to dive into this Mel Kiper mock draft. I went a little long there. My apologies. I didn't mean to do that. I do want to get into what to watch for championship weekend. But also, I will circle back to this Mel Kiper mock draft. We'll do that to tell you what he has the Saints doing at 9 overall. As now we know the full draft declarations from the underclassmen. We'll get into that. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Action Industries, ActionInc.com. That's Action Industries Incorporated, and it's been my pleasure here in recent weeks and months to be able to tell you about the Advanced Turnaround Group, which is part of Action Industries, but it's its own separate set of resources specifically geared toward turnaround work. But if you need fabrication shop services, you need Action Industries. They do food-grade fabrication. They actually work with one of the largest coffee brands in the entire world. They do pipe, structural steel, pressure vessels. Not everyone does that. With their pipe fabrication, they fabricate in separate shops, alloy and carbon steel. The two sections are segregated. They're ASME certified vessel manufacturer. They have all 3 stamps, R, S, and U. They got them all. And maybe it's additional resources that you need for your mega projects. They can help supplement your labor shortage. It's Action Industries, proud partner of LSU Athletics. Check them out online. It's Action Industries.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When you can't rely on technology, you can rely on Mountain Cold.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
After the time I tie, what do you want me to do, Muse?
I mean, you can look into that camera right there. You can use that as a mirror. That'll work for you.
I got a big night tonight, Muse.
What you got going on?
Big night tonight. Well, notice what color is my tie there?
Is that an orange? Okay.
How about it, Muse?
How about it?
Grizzly Greats tonight. Catholic High Athletic Hall of Fame induction. I'm going in as a Grizzly.
Oh, really? Okay.
No,
it's
I'm
you.
not.
Right.
I am not being inducted into the Grizzly. Never, ever. Well, I only get to participate because anytime they need someone over at Catholic to speak into a microphone, they ask me. And then if I'm not available, they call Dixon because they're like, all right, next best. But anyway, Austin and Aaron Nola are both being inducted into the Grizzly Greats Catholic High Athletic Hall of Fame, which is very cool. It's a first. The classes are usually bigger, and the induction is usually done in the summer. But the Nolas obviously play baseball.
Yeah, they can't do that.
So they can't do that. So this is a special induction for the Nolas, and it is I haven't tied a tie in a hot minute here, Muse.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised you're going tie. Is like tie mandatory for this, or
it's Calic High, dog. I mean,
that's fair.
The only time I ever wear a tie, it's not going to be long enough. The only time I ever wear a tie, and honestly, the last time I did the Grizzly Greats induction, MC Muse, I went open collar.
It's a good look, man. It's kind of the look nowadays.
Open collar sneakers. I was also the only human in the building.
Really?
It's Calic High.
Yeah.
I mean, brothers are looking at you like,
hey man, where's the tie?
Right. So I'm like, and then you're MCing, and it's like, is this really okay? So I felt a little funny, man.
Okay.
And I actually went by Carriages today. Needed a tie.
Shout out.
Because it is going to shock you. I don't have an orange tie because I don't wear ties anymore.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Hardly anybody wears ties.
I know. It's open collar all the time.
Yeah.
But again, over the summer, last time I emceed Grizzly Greats, was there, didn't wear a tie, felt really awkward.
Yeah.
And I even asked JP Kelly, who's the advancement director, who, by the way, was my offensive line coach at Catholic when I was there. Been a minute, but anyway, I was like, JP, I went no. Actually, call him Coach Kelly, so call him Coach. I was like, no tie, like this is cool, open collar. He was like, I I was like, well, I don't have one. So it's just, yeah, you're good. You're good. You're fine. But it wasn't, you know?
Yeah,
so I was like,
I
you
get
know
it.
what? Let me respect your rules. Like if I were the guest of honor and if it was my event, like for me, I'd be like, I'm wearing whatever I want to wear.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, but this is one of those things.
That takes you back to the days of being in school, though, right there, man, where it's like.
Like I just don't wear a tie anymore.
Yeah.
You know, even when, like whenever
I'm
I
with
have
you.
to
I
do
don't
TV,
either.
like when I have to do TV, I go jacket and I go open collar. So
it's way more comfortable. But I get it. I mean, believe me, I get it. Yeah. I don't know. I've never liked ties. They have always bothered me. But
it's hard to see there. I think I got it.
I don't even wear ties to weddings anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's just open collar.
The only time I would wear a tie would be like with a formal where you have
Yeah.
the bow tie, you know, if you had to. But I think we're good there.
Funeral. Might go tie for a funeral.
I've been to funerals.
Really? No tie?
I wear a suit.
Well, yeah, for
Just
sure.
Just open collar.
Open collar?
Yeah,
Hmm.
open collar for the suit. I might have made this a little too long, Muse. And you know what? I don't have a tie either. Anyway.
I don't know.
How do we look?
Well,
it's a little past the belt.
Yeah.
Is it kind of like Trump, who's like down to his crotch?
So long.
Is this is okay, huh? It's
Nah,
I don't want to redo it. You think I got to redo it?
You got to redo it.
Is that really too long?
Yeah. I mean.
Too long?
Yeah, it's covering the belt. It can't cover the belt.
It's got to touch the belt.
It's got to touch the belt or point to the belt. Like
anyway,
you can't.
I know. Shut up. You know what? If Trump can wear his to his crotch, why can't I?
Well, that's not that's an orange tie. It's not the red power tie, right? I mean, that's the.
I know, we're blue. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Do the thing that we're gonna do. Do the thing, whatever the thing was. Do it.
Here's what we're watching this football weekend.
Third time's the charm here, man. Anyway, shout out to Austin and Aaron Nolan. So they'll be inducted into the Catholic High Grizzly Greats tonight. We'll also honor the 2024 high school baseball national champion.
How about that? Yeah.
Catholic High Bears. And each of the 5 state championship baseball teams. Openly run out.
Okay.
10, 2010, 10, no, 6.
There you go.
Six.
I mean,
Six.
I don't know. So, all right.
I think I did it again, Muse. I think I went right to the same spot.
Yeah, you did.
God dog it.
You did.
4th time's a charm.
Fourth time's the charm. Hey, the NFC Championship is game number 1 on Sunday. Eagles and Commanders. Tell you a couple things to keep an eye on for the Philadelphia Eagles as they try to make a return trip to the Super Bowl. Obviously, everyone's going to point to the Jalen Hurts injury. That's where I would start.
I played last week, right?
He played last week. He's full participant today at practice with the knee.
Oh, you're talking about the knee.
The knee, yeah. So,
this is too short.
I mean, I think Jalen Hurts is good.
So out of practice.
This is where I'm going to go. The turnover battle. Because we've made a lot about Washington being great at not turning over the football, and they have, except for when they play the Philadelphia Eagles. In the 2 meetings in the regular season, the Eagles are +4 against the Commanders when it comes to the turnover differential. And when you look at Philly in the playoffs, they are +6 so far in their 2 games. Jaden Daniels has been great in not turning the ball over, so is that offense. But Philly's kind of had their number. They turn the ball over against Philly on the road. That could be a recipe for disaster for Washington.
So for the Commanders, obviously everybody's going to be watching.
For the Commanders.
The
Jaden Daniels.
What's that, Paulie?
Commanders.
For the Commanders.
All eyes on
All right.
JD5, Jaden
4 times
Daniels.
the charm.
Rookie quarterback. He lit up the Eagles defense in their last matchup in late December. He accounted for 339 yards through the air and on the ground. He had 5 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in a win. But their first game, not so great. He only accounted for 200 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. That was a loss. The key matchup, though, Washington's rush defense against Saquon Barkley. Commanders were 30th in the regular season defending the run. There's only 32 teams in the league, so that's pretty bad. They allowed 137.5 yards per game on the ground. That's not good when you're going up against Saquon Barkley. He and the Eagles averaged 179 through the ground. Ooh, that's pretty good. So, yeah, in 2 games against Washington already, Barkley has rushed for nearly 300 yards, and he has 4 touchdowns.
Nailed it. It looks good.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
no, it looks good.
What about the collar?
Yeah, the collar looks fine. Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, you can see a little bit of it, but it's not.
Well, have a jacket on.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not. That's not make or break for the fit there.
There we go. Right. Muse is gonna do. Muse is gonna handle Otter Locks because the cocktail hour started at 5.
Yes, you're already late.
And I'm emceeing the event, which starts at 6 in 17 minutes and 19 seconds.
Yeah.
Now, thankfully, it's at Catholic High, which I could probably walk to in about 3 minutes. Maybe not that, but you know what.
I don't know if it's 3 minutes, but yeah.
It's
not far.
I can drive there in certainly 3 minutes. So
yes.
But I need to make sure I get there in a park and I can say some hellos. You don't want to just run right onto the stage. Who steps up other than Travis Kelce? I mean, first all-time in playoff history. In receptions, he's behind only Jerry Rice in yards and touchdowns in the playoffs. 7 catches, 117 a week ago. I mean, are the Bills going to actually take this guy's knees out? Or are they just going to let him go run roughshod? You know, bracket him and actually cover him? I mean, might be a good idea.
Yeah, he had a big game in the divisional.
And then what about someone like Xavier Worthy, Isaac Pacheco? We'll see who might step up for Kansas City. You want to make a pick, or are we doing picks tomorrow?
Let's do picks tomorrow.
Your show. Do whatever you want, Muse. Whatever.
Okay. I mean, do you want to make picks right now?
No, I want to do picks tomorrow.
Okay, well, then we'll just do picks tomorrow.
Oh, Mel Kiper in his mock draft has the Saints taking the cornerback from Michigan.
Yeah, Will Johnson.
I was going to say Will Howard. I'm like, nope. Will Howard is the quarterback from Ohio State, but Will Johnson is the cornerback. And as I've stated here, I really don't care who the Saints pick at 9. I mean, I do, but my point is they need help literally everywhere. So whatever position they choose to draft, as long as it's not a bum, I'm good. Don't go draft Cedric Ellis. You draft Cedric Ellis, 8th overall, I'm going to be pissed. Don't go draft a bum. All right? How are we looking here, Muse? Good?
No, yeah, that was the fourth. That was the fourth time. That was the charm there.
Was the
fourth, yeah.
I'm not going to ask Paulie, public school kid, don't know nothing.
Is that the first time you've ever done a wardrobe change mid segment? It's different, in the break, mid segment. You're tying a tie.
I feel there have been some of those that have been sort of look, I've done tens of thousands of shows. Have I had tied a tie during a segment before or done a wardrobe change? Most certainly.
Okay.
Most certainly. Okay, I got to go because I'm going to go MC the induction for Austin and Aaron Nola into the Calic High Grizzly Greats Athletic Hall of Fame. Great night for those guys. Very excited about that. Otter Locks is next. Jimmy will wrap up the show. Muse will handle that. I got to do something here, Muse.
What do you mean?
There we go. Got it. All right. Well, I need to know what live read I have to do after you hit the stat.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know what you meant.
I got it. All right. We're ready. It's AFR.
After further review.
Presented by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com. Y'all, Rouse's, some of the locations starting to open back up. Encourage you to get to their Facebook page. They're keeping a running list of the locations that are opening and that are reopening. So go to Rouse's on Facebook, and you'll see the list of stores that are starting to reopen. Hopefully they'll be back to normal. But there it is. This just updated this afternoon. All Rouse's locations are now open again. So fantastic. So you can keep checking for updates if you need it there, but all the Rouse's locations are open. So if after a couple of days of being locked in, you need to go, or snowed in, you need to go get your groceries, make your groceries, restock. Rouse's, again, reopen. Maybe celebrate with a little king cake, cold pot, and get whatever you need over at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. Rouse's, this feels like home.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. and backed by the one-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
All right, welcome back in. Wrapping up a Thursday edition of AFR. Matt, of course, had to jet out over to Catholic High for the Grizzly Greats. He was just saying in the last segment. So I'll carry you the rest of the way, and we'll wrap it up how we always seem to wrap it up. It's time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
All right, so we go ahead and welcome on the Ott father himself, Jimmy Ott. Otter, you thawing out yet?
Yeah, I'm trying, Musso. Trying, buddy. There's no doubt, man. Good to be back on the air today, though, and drive safely. No, don't be in a rush. I mean, really, where are you going right now? But anyway, all right, let's get to Colucci's picks. It's a light schedule. That's Thursday again. Thursday used to be our Pac-12 college basketball games. We had 6 of them in the conference play, but they're all scattered out from the Big 10 to the Big 12 to the ACC. So only one Big 10 game there tonight. We're going to take Illinois minus the point in the game against Maryland. Illinois played Sunday, kind of a lead-in game at East Lansing against Michigan State, and it was a tight game. They lose by 2. They were catching 1.5, anywhere from 1.5 to 3. It closed at 1.5, so hope that you got it early. But anyway, tough game. It was just a well-played game, nothing to be ashamed of. Back at home at Champaign, look for hitting them to lay it on pretty good against Maryland. That's the only major conference game that we have tonight. So Colucci's picks, he's got 4 of them tonight, Musso. The Rangers, New York Rangers, minus 48. These were earlier lines at the Queen, at the DraftKings outlet. He's splitting up the Columbus Blue Jackets
Okay.
Columbus plus 310 on the money line, and then on the puck line plus 1.5 for a much smaller price, obviously.
Up to 320 now on the money line there, and up there with the Blue Jackets.
There we go. And then Montreal plus 110.
Colucci and his Canadians, Otter.
I know. He loves the Habs. And then St. Louis plus 124.
Okay. The
So 4 picks from Colucci, 3 of the 4 big dogs. Talked to Kenny White, man. He told us this early in the year, man. I'm hunkering down on women's basketball. Let's go, Kenny. Let's do it. So he gave us his best pick tonight. He has been blistering on these Thursday night solo picks in college women's basketball. Kentucky on the road at Texas A&M minus 9.5.
All right, so women's basketball play as well. Kentucky, the Wildcats, the Lady Wildcats on the road at A&M. All right, Otter, anything else we got?
And then Boston, one game in the NBA. It's the TNT game later tonight. The Celtics minus 6.5. How about this lineup? They had a little matinee game on Martin Luther King Day against Golden State in San Francisco. They beat about 40. And now they roll out their A-team again tonight. Derek White, Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, Tatum, and Porzingis. The projected lineup, expected lineup. I think they're just going to take care of business again against the Lakers on prime time tonight. I like the Celtics minus the 6.5.
All right, so we have Illinois in college basketball. Colucci giving you the Rangers, Blue Jackets, Canadians, and the Blues. And then
1 minute remaining.
Kentucky in women's hoops minus the points, as well as the Boston Celtics visiting the Lakers minus the points. Otter, where are you tomorrow? Rufino's, yes?
We're at Rufino's on a Friday, and by the time I do my picks about 12:30, we'll have all the high-profile college hoops games for Saturday. Great card as usual in college hoops. We've been doing pretty good again for our second year in college hoops.
Y'all get over there to see the guys at Rufino's for Live at Lunch. But definitely tune in if you can't make it over there. Otter, we appreciate it as always. Thank you.
All right, Moose. Good luck.
Good luck. And that is Jimmy Ott. That puts button here on a Thursday edition of AFR presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing Services. We're back tomorrow. Terrio in studio. It's LSU Baseball Media Day as well. That's going to be Friday's AFR. We encourage you to tune in. Thanks to Paul as well for hanging out here, and, of course, Matt handing it off. We'll see you tomorrow here on AFR.
After further review.
Remind you about Michelle Weighing and Measurement, Michelle.com with 30 offices across 11 different states. If you weigh or measure something, Michelle sells, services, rents the products used to weigh and measure. No matter where you are, you can ship your precision measurement devices to Michelle, and they'll calibrate them for you, send them back, or they'll just come to your office, pick them up, and bring them back. They can also do on-site calibration. If you have equipment that can't leave or you don't want it to leave, they can come do on-site calibrations as well with their mobile calibration labs. It's Michelle Weighing and Measurement, online at Michelle.com. Louisiana-born, Louisiana-owned and operated for 76 years. They've continued to grow, expand their footprint, while maintaining that local ownership, local feel, handshake deals, face-to-face sales. It's Michelle Weighing and Measurement. They're also hiring. Check out the careers tab at Michelle.com. Again, online at Michelle.com, Michelle.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.